Hello, everyone, and right on time. Welcome to the first catch-up ramblings for a long, long while. Yes, new year, but same catching up. You all know the drill by now, so without further ado, let's get right into it. So, first thing on our agenda is a question from Timoguri Officer, which is, if there's a three-way space race in the late 50s until the 80s with the UK and Europe entering the race with the US and USSR, which ones will win the space race in the end and reach the moon first? The UK and Europe? No,
The US.
no, it's the US. No.
Yeah, at this point,
And would
Europe
they be
is
able to send
basically Britain and France.
hang on? Would they be able to send an artificial satellite first before Sputnik? No. Europe and the UK, like, people say, oh yeah, the space races were not that significant a budget contribution from the USSR and the US. Yeah, that's true. For powers of their size, it wasn't. To put in an equivalent level of funding from war-torn Europe and a utterly bankrupt UK, it's just not. That's a line item in the budget that doesn't need to exist.
Not only that, a lot of those efforts are going to be stymied from the fact that a lot of the US's progress came from people that were paperclipped.
Like, it's worth pointing out, there's a reason why you see the UK space program and the ESA start up when they do.
Yeah, it's almost like the early space race was a vanity project.
Like, Europe proved they could do it in the 60s from what I'm seeing, and that's a case of why do we need to compete? Why do we need to be first?
Because the UK only began to care about space satellites when they actually had a practical use. Which is how you get what happened in the 80s. But until that point, until you start getting stuff with GPS, there's no reason to.
The other thing is, just looking from a geography standpoint, Europe doesn't really have that many good sites for space centers, because the closer you are to the equator,
Guyana.
Yeah, there's a reason why the ESA had
French and British Guyana.
Yeah, there's a reason why the ESA had to tap the French on the shoulder and go, "Hey!"
Yeah, and Guyana's one of those that it was gotten rid of because it wasn't profitable to control. If there is a European Space Agency that's using British Guyana's not becoming independent.
For example, whereas with now ESA, you've got the French Guyana is still part of France. In fact, I think it's actually part of metropolitan France now, like Algeria was.
Yeah. And the population of British Guyana is small enough that you can quite happily, over a couple of years, encourage settlement and suddenly have the local population diluted enough to break up any nationalistic sentiment.
Now, I will point out, this is the official term for settler colonialism. We are not encouraging settler colonialism.
Yes. It's almost like if you need control of an area, settler colonialism is really goddamn useful. Why do you think every empire every empire that's ever existed does it?
Yeah.
Because, quite frankly, a minority who's friendly towards government that is occupying a strategic location surrounded by an oppressed majority who don't like the government has infinite reasons to be loyal to the central government.
Mm-hmm.
But in fact, it's why a lot of regions of Africa were, when they became independent, became minority ruled.
Yeah. That didn't go so well.
Depends on who you asked.
Although South Africa was a unique case because it was that was basically the Boers being unshackled to be the bastards that they were always meant to be.
it just depends on. It's a bad thing for the local Africans if you're the French trying to keep control of West Africa after you've been forced to make it independent. Well, propping up a minority government made from a minority ethnic group in the region that rules over a hostile majority. Hello, Mali.
Yes.
And Niger.
Yes.
And Mauritania.
Yes, we get it.
And Senegal.
Okay, we get it.
And
You get it. We get it. Okay, Knight 6831
and
asks,
Nigeria.
For Dragon, what are your overall thoughts on a note through the firmament? Firmament? That's the one. That's the one. That's the word. That's the word I, for some reason, could not fucking say.
Just say the fucking question.
Need to, finish reading all the event cutscenes. It was okay. It's nothing great. The Eagle Union stuff's been okay, but in particular in this instance, it wasn't. I don't think it's as good as it could have been. Let's continue this. Yeah, it's an Azure question.
I thought it was something interesting like the Elder Scrolls Firmament. Because that's the name of a book in Skyrim.
Firmament's used in a lot of things, so I don't know why you would immediately jump to Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, it's also one of the
Plus, also, this is from... Plus, A, this is from Night. B, it's a question from Monday.
Yeah, but Night can be...
Your basis of evidence here is lacking, I'm afraid.
Unfortunately, I just want questions about interesting topics to be asked.
Now, to me, it is an interesting topic, but...
That's probably why it's addressed to him and not you, Foxo.
Because most people are starting to learn that you basically stopped keeping up with AL.
Finally.
Which is a shame. I need to drag you back into it. Foxhound misses you.
I did actually participate in this event.
Did you?
Was just boring, yeah.
Doubt.
Yeah, I did.
All right. Okay.
Look, I play it when I'm getting ready to have a bath because it's on my tablet.
Suspicious.
So the next question is actually more open. Is a very open and shut question. Typical gunnery officer asks, what if during Yamato's final journey, the Japanese had at least 100 fighter aircraft over Yamato's task force? Would the attacking USN aircraft be overwhelmed, and also would their attacks be uncoordinated because they have less time to plan their attacks at the moment they arrive over Yamato because of the presence of the Imperial Japanese fighter aircraft? You do realize that's still less fighters than the US attacks are coming in with as escort, right? And the response of US veteran pilots to 100 rookies over Yamato is going to be, oh good, a chance to rack up more kills on the side of my plane. It's going
the
to...
other question would
it's
be...
going to...
Yeah,
go on.
Are these Navy aircraft or Army aircraft? Because if they're Army, I don't rate the chances of them actually doing anything to defend Yamato very high.
The Army-Navy rivalry was bad, but not to that level. Not at that point in the war.
Yeah, this is at the point where even the Navy has to admit its losses. And both sides know everything's going to shit. And have actually started to work together.
To a limited degree, but they're not actively trying to kill each other anymore.
But it's more the fact of, well done, you've just fed 100 aircraft into 44, 45 era American naval fighters.
And these can't be, and these Japanese pilots can't be anything more than rookies facing
Even
the absolute best of US carrier aviation.
Well, I wouldn't say they're the best,
depends. It depends.
It depends on the carrier.
The IJA Air Force didn't treat itself as hard as the Navy did, so
but
they have slightly better chance. Plus, they have better aircraft.
But
with.
It's the bigger issue of airframe generation.
Depends what planes they're sent with.
It depends on what planes
but
it's sent.
It's like anything that actually would have been able to have in numbers. unless you're talking about strange prototypes.
No,
I just
the
think getting
RVA,
into the
the IJA, no, the IJA has decent enough modern airframes. I'm not expecting the Navy to have much. It's the Army Air Force probably got something to throw around with still.
yeah, but I think the army's still running into the issue of the lack of the high horsepower engines.
No.
No, not at this point.
But that's just Japan in a nutshell.
At this
Yeah.
point, you've got shit like the Raiden coming around. You've got the KI 100s running around. Like, you've got shit that
So
actually.
how they would have fielded 100 of any of those at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah,
Like-
which is
like
why
you've got-
I said
like
the
you've
girl
got-
prototypes. It's
Well, no, they
compared to
are.
a USN that's throwing around 2,000 horsepower radials.
Yeah, like make no mistake, these aircraft are capable, but the more the war goes on, the more the Imperial Japanese Army Air Force gears more and more towards, oh fuck, the sky's full of B-29s. To be fair, their anti-aircraft firepower and some of these more recent types do get good enough that the USN flips the script and switches to low-level rates. So the Japanese do actually get good at countering the B-29 so that it becomes a problem. Which is one thing that everyone does tend to miss.
Yeah, but that's not relevant here.
No, it was more just a fact I
Because
wanted to
you
bring up.
don't bring the aircraft that you're using to intercept B-29s to contest and get through the escort of single-seater fighters. That's meant for low altitude work.
The IJA has over 2,000 K-84s just waiting for the Americans to arrive
Like, it's not...
by 45 by
Yeah.
Tango, and that is a modern Japanese
Yeah. When you're
airframe.
fighting Hellcats and Corsairs.
Lots of Hellcats and Corsairs.
I don't think there's actually. Is there Corsairs in Tango? I don't think there's
Apparently
Corsairs in Tangos.
apparently there was a number of Corsairs also sent.
Yes, so some of the carriers were equipped with Corsairs.
No,
I don't know
like,
which carrier had the Corsairs.
that's
But
what I'm
then there's
trying to
16 of
find,
them,
but-
so who knows?
Because from what I'm reading, there were only claimed several squadrons of Corsairs were there. We're trying to figure out where it's sourcing that from.
One of the carriers. I don't remember which one's carrying which. There's 16 Essex there. Some of them is found to be equipped with the Corsairs instead of the Hellcats by then. But yeah, it really doesn't. It's not going to change too much, considering the overwhelming air wing that the U.S. is throwing at Yamato. 100 fighters, yeah, it might slow some of them down, but fundamentally speaking, we're talking
And
what
it doesn't
five?
change the outcome.
Yeah, we're talking about 300-400 strike aircraft with like 200-300 escort fighters. It's not. It's just. It's relevant.
It's a bad time to be
Yeah,
Japanese.
They're actively centrally controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They'll-
the central control that's the issue.
In the end, they'll be better with them there, but it won't change the outcome. Probably more US pilots are downed.
Maybe not. Depends how good the US...
No,
Right,
there
but
will
there will be
There
more.
will be, because just by the sheer fact that there's 100 fighters now also getting involved, there will be more US planes downed.
Yeah,
Like that
and
is
when
an
air-
inevitability.
And even if there's a gap in capability, when an air wing engages an air wing, both air wings lose aircraft. Unless there's an overmatch.
I mean,
And
are
never
we not
say had.
looking at... Are we not looking like 300 fighters versus 100? One of which...
No, because it's not. No, because it's not 300 fighters. It is 300 planes.
No.
Of which- Yes, two. Right. So, 58-1 and 58-3 launched 280 aircraft total. 58-4 launched another 106, consisting of Hellcats, Corsairs, Helldivers, and Avengers. So, closer. Well, I say closer to 400 aircraft there, but of which is a very mixed air wing of bombers, dive bombers, torpedo bombers, and fighters.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's not 300 fighters.
It's at
It's-
most 150 versus 100.
Yeah,
And-
there we go. First thing that happens, first American aircraft arrives for the fighters to conduct fighter sweeps.
Yeah.
The bombers were not even going to be interrupted.
Yeah.
It's a case of, oh, do you want an example of localized, centralized air control? Yeah, it doesn't end well for the localized control. Anyway, next question.
John South asks, if you were wanting to make a Royal Navy cruiser as a more sensible response to the Trump class, etc., what would you build? Well, first of all, my opinion on this is perfectly clear. I wouldn't be building anything even remotely equivalent. The only thing I'd probably do is build the maximalist version of Type 83 I want. A large multi-purpose destroyer with 148 VLS cells of Mach 41, full Aegis capability, and a decent ASW suite and the ability to carry at least 2 helicopters. That's what I'd be building. It definitely wouldn't. Well,
Many
I'm
sure.
I'm sure Dr. Clark would probably be saying, "Oh, but fleet, it's a cruiser," and I'm like, "No, Dr. Clark, please stop with this obsession with archaic terms."
But it's not an archaic term.
I will die on this fucking hill. Yes, it is. I don't care
Then
what
you'll
Dr.
be
Clark
executed
says.
on that hill.
I don't
No,
care
I'm not
what
even
Dr.
referring to-
Clark says.
I'm not even referring to what Dr. Clark says here. Cruiser is not an archaic term. Cruiser was still in use into the 70s and 80s, so it's not archaic. It is still in use today with the Strike Cruiser.
No ships that exist today are cruisers. None of them. Apart from
The
maybe
Russian
the
cruisers?
Kirovs. Apart from maybe the Kirovs and the Slavas.
The
Maybe.
Kirovs, the Ticonderogas.
The Tychos are not cruisers, they're rebranded destroyers.
I
But
disagree.
they're designated cruisers.
That doesn't make them cruisers.
Yeah, and they
Yes,
do
it
the
does.
job
No, it-
of the cruiser.
No, they don't. They're air defense destroyers with different paint scheme on them. They're not cruisers. Will people please look
I
into history?
disagree.
No,
What-
okay,
If we
no,
go
no,
with
no, no,
the
no.
very basic term of what a cruiser is, every single warship is a
It's
cruiser.
a cruiser.
Yes, it is,
Yeah.
but they're also by the same definition not. If everything
With
is
a
all of some,
large surface and anti-air combatant, which the only thing you can call it above a destroyer is a cruiser. And nations and navies do call these larger vessels cruisers when they're trying to get them or where their enemy has them. If you said this about battle cruiser, I would agree with you.
all the Ticonderogas do is escort other assets. They do not lead service
Fleet,
action
what did a
groups.
cruiser do?
Would you? No, the problem is
cruises.
no. The thing is,
It also
It
escort.
cruises and escorts.
no, yes, but the Ticonderogas don't cruise.
They do.
They don't.
They do.
By sheer fact of the range, the operational range they have, they do cruise.
That's not. They don't.
Yeah,
do
I
that.
know, and they did the cruiser mission. Like, I'm sorry. I think it's 6th Fleet and 7th Fleet jokes to you in the Middle East and the Indian Ocean? Do they just not exist in your mind?
Not necessarily true, Bone Meal. Cruisers didn't always operate independently. It depends on your doctrine. British ones normally had a pair of destroyers with them.
But
It all depends on where and what.
now I'm not
It's
arguing
not-
that these. I'm not arguing that they can't. I'm not arguing that they can't fulfill the. They can't fulfill the traditional cruiser role. But the point I'm trying to make is that's not their primary mission. For something in my mind to be a cruiser, it either needs to be a significant tonnage step above its destroyer equivalents, which the Tychos are not, or it needs to have flag and command facilities and be designed to lead SAGs and be escorted, which by definition, technically, this does mean that, yes, I do have to begrudgingly admit, yes, the Trump class is technically a cruiser, since it is designed to lead surface action groups and has flag facilities. Whereas the Ticonderogas, unfortunately, I don't think... They have flag facilities, but they haven't but they're not a significant tonnage increase over the Berks, which would be the bracket you would need to be to have them be
So,
cruisers with
again,
that term.
I think the whole point
So
of
we
this
have arrived into the. Go ahead.
I was going to say,
No, I
the whole
just
fact
gotta
that
point something
navies
out.
currently
No,
to this
Dragon,
day
before you go,
have
before you go,
cruisers. Mm.
just before you go, Flea's whole comment about how the Tychos are between 1.5 to 2,000 tons heavier than their contemporary destroyers.
That's not
The
enough.
Batch 1 Berks of 1988, which are built after the Tychos are in commission, so they're not contemporary, is only 8,300 tons, compared to a base weight of 9,600.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the destroyers that were built, earlier ships built contemporary to the Ticonderogas, and before them, they are significantly bigger. So the whole size thing is a moot point, because they are bigger. By a lot.
How much?
That's what I said about
Well-
2,000 tons in some cases.
Well, if we
That's-
compare it to the Kid, who commissioned around the same time, who have a standard displacement of 7,500, and
No,
the
that's-
Ticonderogas have a
No.
displacement of 9,600.
No. Whoa, hold on. Whoa. No. You're going with the light load displacement. That ain't loaded for war, sunshine. Loaded for war is 9,700 tons.
Yeah, I'm
Whereas-
the Titan is light load,
Mm,
because that's the only
No,
only
Tycho's 9,800 tons full load, Voxo.
Just from what I'm reading,
Where are you reading?
and even
Secret
then,
project.
and even then, the
No,
Spruance,
like that's its full load.
and even then, the Spruances
Not
are
like-
only 8,000. This is the thing. If you,
But again, I will go back because I was looking. Cruisers are not designated by tonnage. They never have been.
well, that was during the age when it was very clear distinctions, because
Yes,
But
but
with-
these days, it doesn't matter. If a nation calls it a cruiser, because that's what the role they see it do, cruiser is not an archaic term by the sheer fact that people keep looking at it and navies keep going, well, this is a cruiser.
well, quite frankly, I think they need to pull their head out of the past and accept that they don't exist
So you are
anymore.
so you are saying that China, Germany, India, Italy, Japan, Russia, Korea, the United Kingdom, and the US all need to go stop using cruiser as a term.
Yes, exactly.
Or especially around ships that are designed to do the cruiser role and be a mixture of a present ship, a large overseas flag waving vessel, a large heavy escort, and a squadron command ship. That's why they're called cruisers. Because they can do shit destroyers can't. And they do the cruiser job. So if you do the cruiser job, you're a cruiser.
Now, while I agree with that sentiment,
If I drive a HGV, I can't just go, HGV driver is an archaic term, truck driver is an archaic term, I should be called something else. No, I do the job, therefore I am a HGV driver.
no, that's a
Consider, right,
massive
also,
whataboutism
point-
there. Come on,
Also,
don't-
well, also then to point out the fact that the Type 83 in internal documents is referred to as a cruiser.
Yeah,
like, okay, the point I'm trying to make here is that the only vessels that match the description of that are currently in active service that match the description that Foxo gave is the Kirov class.
But therefore, it is not an archaic term.
Fair enough, but therefore you also have to admit that the Tychos are not cruisers.
I would still regard them as cruisers because they are built to have that capability. As they do
don't.
have good.
no.
They do.
I'll just say it's as simple as this. The US designate them cruisers, they used them as cruisers, and they did the job of a cruiser. We can argue about how good a cruiser they were, if you want.
I think we are
Well, the fact
retreading.
is that they take the 3 boxes of the nation calls it a cruiser. They're bigger than contemporary destroyers,
No, they're not.
and they do the job of a cruiser. So they're cruisers.
The kid class would like a word. They're bigger than the Tychos.
The kids aren't.
They are.
Under full load, completely full, they are still smaller.
Yeah.
Mm,
9,628 tons full displacement versus the Tychos, which sit at 9,800 at full displacement.
No, 962
Yes.
long tons,
Long tons, yeah.
and then
Yeah,
9,600 long
That-
tons.
Yeah.
Or alternatively,
Like, so they're basically
9,700.
on par.
But again,
Also, my point then would be, if you want to consider that some destroyers have been big in the past,
not to the size of a
Yeah,
cruiser.
yeah, tribals would like a word with you.
No. So the
No, no,
late
the-
war American destroyers were bigger than some of the small Condottieri class destroyers.
Cruisers.
Cruisers. Does that mean the Condottieri class cruisers are not
No.
cruisers? Classes of cruisers are not cruisers.
This is the thing, because they're about the same size as the French Contre-Tropiliers. Well, that is one of the things we really do have to really get into the weeds. Because at that point,
Yeah,
you can
but-
argue they're not.
But at that point, you go, okay, they're contested. What does the nation
See-
who built them call them?
See, this is where we run
Okay,
into...
they call them cruisers. They're cruisers.
This is where we run into the whole thing that we'll never agree, because you know my position, and I won't change it, because I don't think you...
So then why are we still on this?
Anyway, so getting back to it. So, again, if I'm going to build a response, again, it would just be a destroyer. It would be a Type 83 on... It would be a new model multi-purpose RN destroyer. Type 83, following on from Type 82, able to be a full multi-mission ship. Or alternatively, if I want to make an RN group... Well, there's 2 options. There's the one I've said, which is obviously building a multi-purpose destroyer, which we're talking something equivalent size to a Burke, if not bigger than, and probably more capable than a Burke, a true modern ship that can actually... And also something that should really data link with 45 to really provide extra sensor suites to 45. Supplement rather than replacement.
I was about to ask because I thought 83 as current was supposed to replace 45.
It is, but that's not how I would do it. You want 45 around. The Force needs to expand to 12 ships. You need 6 45s and 6 83.
You're not
Even-
getting that, though.
Even the question
As much
says.
as I would love to
The
say-
question says. The question
Yes,
says. Let's not get into the weeds again, because yes, I
if
know.
you what would you build, not what would you keep?
Well, yeah, I suppose. But I suppose if I am building 6 large destroyers with 148 VLS Mach 41s, full Aegis system with data link, I think I'm getting a lot. I think I could perhaps, maybe, possibly, kind of afford to lose the Type 45s if I have 2 of those with every QE. That's just I can send the QEs anywhere at that point. I don't care what missile salvo you're throwing at me. That's 3 Burks worth of VLS. Even if I have 2 of them with the
I mean,
Force.
It's so unoriginal. Why okay. Why are you using conventional point defense? Or just conventional point defense at this point?
I'm not. I also, like, my
Because
assumption
you'd
would
at
be...
least want it to have at least 2 of those BAE laser emitters.
Oh
at this
yeah,
point.
of course.
Well, those are already planned for the Type. Those
Yeah.
are already planned for Type 83.
Yeah.
I'm just expanding the Type
Have they?
83s. Yeah, they've said
Yeah.
they've said they want them.
No, oh,
Yes.
I hadn't heard the news about that then.
Yeah.
That was like a couple of years back.
Yeah.
Okay, you know how I am with fucking Type 83.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, yeah.
Because
But
honestly, for the last while, I didn't believe it would exist.
yeah,
It still might not.
we don't talk about-
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think you
Look,
want
right-
at least 3 laser emitters, one either side, one in the front center.
I also want some
And-
old-fashioned CRAM and CWiz
2
as well.
guns.
Oh yeah,
Or-
oh yeah,
honestly,
oh yeah, 2 single mounts, absolutely. The drone threat
Actually,
alone.
No,
actually,
no,
no.
twins.
No,
twin mounts.
no,
Yes.
I'm putting my foot down. Twins are stupid. They are a
No, they're not.
stupid idea.
They're not.
The
They have
added
a lot of
complexity-
reason to make.
No, they are. No,
You mean
I'm
the
sorry.
less complexity?
No, it's dumb.
Because
it's
modularity
so
of
dumb.
parts.
It's
It's
so
really
dumb.
not.
Here would be my question with regards to twins. What are you envisaging fighting that you need two lasers pointed in the same
No,
direction?
I'm not referring to. This is not lasers.
Oh,
This is
You want-
guns.
This is for the gun.
oh, okay.
You don't need
And
twins.
if you look at what's been released by the Automalera system, it's only between a 5 to 15% increase in tonnage
You don't need the.
to have the second gun with the matching rate of fire in the same system,
Why?
with the same autoloader.
What are you
The twin-
envisaging? What,
twin-
what,
Twin
what-
main guns make sense for when you need burst capacity for the guns.
What
Yeah,
are
and,
you
like-
envisaging that you need more than 2 single 5-inch mounts to deal with? What are you
Something that
envisaging?
we don't know that might come up.
No. I'm talking.
Two twin 5-inch.
I
Okay,
actually
no, I don't
agree
think
with
you should have
typical
two
gunnery
twin pilots.
officer here
I would.
in that 4 single mounts, because then you can
No.
put
No.
those guns on 4 targets.
That's the worst of both
No.
worlds.
That
But
takes
the
up
thing is-
even more space and more weight.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
like
BLS takes up a disproportionate amount of internal hull.
you
Because
just
You
Rel-
want to increase firepower
you
while
don't-
keeping your hull volume used to a minimum. So going from a single 5-inch to a twin 5-inch makes inherent sense.
you
Totally
don't.
agree.
No,
Yeah, I would.
No, I
would still
disagree.
I would still move. I would still go to 2 twin 5-inch
no.
because
if
that
you
does
need,
give you the spare capacity and actually doesn't increase weights that much.
if you
Also,
need-
if we're
you-
going to build a big ship, you might as well.
that no, no. That might as well argument can go die in a hole. I'm sick of people bringing
What
might
that
as well.
might
up
as well
as
get.
not.
What might as well get actual usability out of it. Look,
You can get actual usability out of a single 5-inch gun. The only reason I'm giving concessions to 2 is the rising threat of targets that you don't want to waste your valuable VLS depth on. Stuff like cheap drones and
Swarmers, naval drones,
exactly.
and,
and
but with
swarm drones.
and with 2 twin guns though, you get
Does
much more
BAE have a
coverage.
railgun project?
Yes, it's
Yes.
one the
Two
US. It's one
twin
that
guns is massive overkill.
It's
The
I,
rate
I
of-
will agree with
not.
Fleet. I will agree with Fleet.
It's not for future developments. Considering, keep in mind, if you're realistically looking at these ships, you're looking at 2030 as a laydown date. At
the
earliest.
There's no,
Well,
there's
no,
no, there's
which
no
is why
potential.
I agree with Fleet. Which is why I agree with Fleet. Let me explain why I agree with you. Because the role the 5-inch does currently is the role you're looking at to, especially against swarming drones and naval drones and low-cost targets and swarming targets. That's what you want your lasers to be dealing with. That's what BAE are looking. That's the main mission profile for the lasers. Your 5-inch guns would be a general purpose. You just need a gun, and a gun's good for present missions because people see gun and go, "Ooh, gun!" Therefore, warship.
Like I will
No,
absolutely,
no,
No, no,
that's
no,
not
no,
what
no.
BAE is saying.
I will
quite
absolutely
frankly-
admit. Go on.
And quite frankly, the second 5-inch gun. Why do you need it when that job's already being done by the laser?
Because it's not. The lasers are not your anti-drone swarm weapon. Those are your 5-inch and your 76s.
Well, I'm not planning to carry any 76s. That's why I'm. That's why I'm.
I
that's-
would, because Automalera 76 are very good.
They are, but I have 2 5-inch guns in 2 single turrets, one fore, one aft, with nearly 360
Why are
degree
you
arcs of
having a gun
coverage.
aft?
Because that's why. That's the
That
reason.
That's
What?
just took up your that just took up your deck space, and it's a much more complicated system. No, you have them. Like, while fire arcs make sense, that's why you go with probably 376.
No.
2
I-
aft, 2 a mid, 2 4.
No,
No.
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 No, 76 range isn't good enough
No.
anymore.
Yeah,
No.
you want the 5-inch for the range. You want the lasers for because as that technology
Yeah.
develops, they're going to become very deadly very quickly. They have
I-
become very deadly very quickly.
Not the way you're saying against drones. They're anti-munition, not anti-drone.
Yeah.
For now, but like you say, technological development is proceeding apace, and while
Yes,
that, and while that,
but remember, drones are getting bigger as well.
then,
So
well, then in that case,
the
then the shot-
lasers. So then, you actually, this is where you go back to. You need something bigger to counter them.
Well,
and that's
well,
what the
it's-
twin 5-inch is for.
Yeah, but
You
also
want a
that
twin 5-inch gun on the bow. You don't want one at the stern, because
no,
a 5-inch gun at the stern will interfere with your aviation facility.
no, not really. The solving of aviation facilities and having a rear mount 5-inch has been solved for decades. That's not a problem. You can have
It causes
but-
a lot of
yeah,
problems with
but-
internal design.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
takes up
not
volume
really.
in a space you don't want it to take up volume.
no. It's really easy
Because
to
It
I
solve.
means
would
you have
rather-
to build around it,
Not
whereas
really.
it's much
it's
easier
exactly
to just
what I said.
not.
I'd rather have a couple more VLS cells than the
Hmm?
rear gun.
Or maybe an extra ASW helicopter, or more parts, or more munitions. So you can do
I
the
think a
ASW
single-
role.
I think a single twin 5 up front's more than good enough.
Yeah, Scoot's pretty much got it in one. Yeah, 2 single 5-inch, 2 to 4
No!
37mm
Mistake,
Seaways, 2 defense lasers, and as many VLS cells as we can carry.
Ooh,
Sorry,
Seaways.
steak. Sorry, steak. But it's like the thing is just
No. Again, realistically speaking, if the UK are building some sort of sensible version, you're looking probably around 18 to 20,000 tons.
that's a little bit big. I was thinking more 15,000
No, it's not.
tons.
Right, fleet, you're not looking at 15,000 tons because Type 83 is already looking at over 15,000 tons.
I know. I'm just looking
Yep.
at slightly big in 83. I remember. I'm not
No,
trying to
you're not
build a
looking at a
cruiser.
slightly bigger. You need much bigger. If the UK is building something that's meant to have that's meant to be a more sensible version, you're looking 18 to 20k tons because that's not that big.
If we can get, look, if
Honestly,
83
remove
if-
that.
if-
Honestly,
if-
Petch, remove that rear gun, and that's more along the lines of what I would like, admittedly.
if
But probably with 76s and 76 dot around and then lasers.
oh, what? No, Petch. How many times have I told you stop putting 6-inch guns on things? It's so dumb.
I'm not even assuming they're 6-inch. I'm just going off that's where the main guns would be.
Well, I'm happy with that as long
I
as
know
you,
I know they're using this what's called 6-inch gun
okay,
model,
okay,
but
like
Okay, I would like a counter proposal, right? Fleet can have his 5-inch gun aft, but BAE is a major buyer and backer into the Japanese railgun project. Put a Japanese railgun on it. Up
Sure.
front.
I tell you what, actually, I will look. I will accept. Given the size of ship, if we are pushing this thing up to 20,000 tons, and if we are doing that, given and that buys me increased capability. Given that I was asking for not much more capability than I was asking for 50% increase in VLS cells over a Burke for more than 50% of a tonnage increase. So if we're going for
Again,
50% more than that, anyway, moving on.
my problem is,
Can I
my
can
problem
I
is,
finish?
you're just talking about Type 83 here.
Yeah, but anyway,
You're
can I,
literally just taking Type 83, right?
yeah, but can I was going somewhere with that. If we are going to shove this thing up to 20,000 tons and turn it into a cruiser, much as I hate the term in the modern era, then I am happy to accept 2 5-inch guns, 1 fore, 1 aft, and then if we have the space and the hull length, after cramming it full of at least 150 VLS, or as close to that number as we can get with the way Mark 41 packs, then I absolutely think we should have a railgun, probably forward, and fuck it, bring back super firing turrets, why not?
Why? Why would you want a railgun?
Well, partially because
Well, okay.
I wouldn't have the railgun as the sole option for that space on the ship, but I would have it as one of the program goals to try and carry a railgun in a mount in that slot.
Actually, no. Scrap the 5-inch and 36. A railgun, or possibly 2 railguns,
No.
because a
As long as-
functional railgun can do the job of an anti-munition, especially for long range or hypersonics defense, and can do the mission of the standard conventional 5-inch.
Yeah, I want an option. I
It
don't want to.
depends how you. It depends how you dial.
As long as you're not expecting to use the Japanese railguns, you're fine.
I want an
Which is what
option.
Fox was
I would
explicitly
say
basing it off.
there should be the option. My thinking would be, of the initial build, make one of them have a single railgun mount.
And then that's,
Once once they are worked out, however, design it in so that they can be replaced or on the rest of the class with railguns once you've got all your prototyping and teething issues worked out on the railguns.
I mean, if we're
I agree.
comparing... Sorry, go
I
on.
agree with Steak because honestly, I would not have them planned to be built with a railgun. Have them planned for capability for a railgun, but no, not to build them with them because even the best railgun tech at the moment still says they're they're a good 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. I mean...
Because the Japanese one has so far had one success firing from a ship hitting another ship. At not even that long of a range.
Yeah.
And they are considered one of the world leaders of it. Railguns are not there yet. They probably won't be for a good while, to say the least. So, have capability for them to be installed later? Sure. Not to be built with, and definitely not, as Fox was saying, only put it with railguns.
Yeah, I will just come
Well,
circle back.
if you build it for, not with, you're never gonna fucking get the things.
I mean,
Well,
okay,
that-
I do have a question that I would like to put to people before we do move on, because we have kind of battered this one into the ground. In regards to dual versus singles, why is the only navy that operated dual mounts of the caliber that they continue to operate? Why did they ditch them? Why did the Russians ditch their dual mounts in favor of singles for their new build ships?
Downscaling.
They could have kept with
The same thing that's been happening to every nation. There's a reason why the British and the US do keep looking at going back to twins, because they do have things that make sense. The problem is getting them through.
I mean, politely, I'm glad that they've kept being cancelled because, well, I mean, as I've said,
Like
The
BAE, for instance, has come out and basically said the actual increased complexity and space needed from going from a single to a twin, not that big.
I mean, the increase in complexity could be 0. It still wouldn't be a good idea.
Why wouldn't it be?
If there's literally no problems for it, that makes no sense.
Because you don't need it. It's extra added cost.
Yes,
If you need another gun, put another turret in.
no, because that's just made it more complex.
Rightfully. If you add another turret, you need another set of magazines, and you need another you need another central autoloader.
Yes.
Because a lot of the way the Automalera and the BAE ones are working is the two guns being fed by the same autoloader.
Well, yes, because they're
That
in the
can
same
feed
turret.
faster than the 5-inch gun or the 3-inch gun can survive. So you have them running faster, but feeding into two guns instead of one.
Yes, but
Which prolongs
But
barrel
if you
life
have
as well.
two separate turrets, you need that entire below deck structure. You need a second autoloader.
As Steak is saying,
I
if
And
you
know.
that's
want-
going to take up internal volume, but you can put more missiles.
and also
I-
as Steak is pointing out, to go back to your initial point of why spend the increased cost on going from a single gun to a twin gun, why not just add another turret, is because adding another turret is vastly more expensive.
no, I'm aware of that. But it's also,
So-
but all adding another barrel to an existing mount does is it gives you more lead down range. When, quite frankly, there's no threat I can see perceivably existing where if the drones
Yeah,
get
what you need
if the drones get
I mean, let him
bigger,
finish.
if the drones get significantly bigger and more capable, and then the cost per shot swings radically back in favor of VLS usage. So there's no point for increasing rate of fire down range if that's the problem. If they get cheaper and more swarmy, then it swings rapidly in favor of smaller calibers or more advanced laser systems. And if the threat is something in between, then at that point I would say you've got a mix of those systems.
It's called capability.
Capability you don't need. You are arguing for capability's sake, and that is the worst thing you can do.
It is better to have and not need than find out, whoops, we need
There
this.
is no need, and there has never
There
been a need. There
is-
never will be a
So-
need. I am sick of you inventing needs for dual turrets when they have not, will
No.
not,
Oh,
and will
shut the
never
hell up,
exist.
please.
No,
That's where you're gonna go.
no, wait. I'll point out that even fucking Rheinmetall, who are an outsider to the naval gun business, have created fully automatic 5-inch guns that are capable of engaging subsonic anti-shipping missiles and supersonic shut up for a second, anti-shipping missiles. So, if your guns and your dagger can engage subsonic and supersonic missiles, you then have spare magazine space because you need less interceptors that you can actually carry the much larger hypersonic interceptors that are required for dealing with hypersonics. Because while hypersonics are not the be-all and end-all, to effectively engage them, you need a much bigger and much far larger and much faster interceptor. Because they're much bigger than conventional interceptor missiles, you need more of them. So you're not needing more of them. You can carry less of them. You can carry more of the smaller ones. So if you can unload some of the duties of your VLS onto your gun systems, like Rheinmetall, Automalera, and BAE, and I think it's Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, are showing, then you do that because it means you can protect against the high-end threats better. That's the use case.
Okay. Genuinely, I have a question. So I absolutely agree with the hypothesis and the basic thing you've just put forwards. That none of what you've said is making no sense to me. It makes complete sense, and I get it. But again, my question is, if that's the case, and you're trying to divert as much of the angle as possible to your non-VLS systems, given what I just said about, the threat axis being faced, why would the increase be to add a second barrel rather than adding a laser system or a CRAM turret or a 3-inch turret? Why would the move be to have a twin-barreled 5-inch gun?
Because you mentioned it earlier.
Dragon.
You said about cost.
Dragon, let me explain it. Because of the size of what we're looking at for hypersonic interceptors, they are much more volume intensive than a standard interceptor. They require their DVLS to be significantly larger and deeper, right? And internal volume is already at a premium on a ship. Your VLS is now demanding even more internal volume. So, but by going from a single to a twin, over going from one single to two singles, you massively reduce the amount of internal volume the gun systems are taking up.
And then you could also, in theory, use that to remove things like your 3-inch, if it's deck penetrating, to make more room for these there. Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of picking up what you're putting down. See, in that case, where you are dealing with that threat, then I can see you're not using the 5-inch you're not taking a dual 5-inch because you need the capability. You're taking it to make up for capability you're being forced to sacrifice elsewhere, which is something we haven't seen yet in the real world, which is why the thought didn't even bloody occur to me. So I apologize, Dragon. I hadn't even thought about it until Foxo brought it up.
So to cap it off, we're only seeing a return of the twin gun system with the rise of the hypersonic interceptor.
Yeah, but we're not there yet.
Here's what I'm gonna say. My biggest criticism of the twin is you can't have those two guns firing on two separate targets. Let's say you are facing a swarm threat. You want as many mounts able to face in as many different directions as possible. However, those threats will typically come from the same area. So, I don't know if such a system exists, but has anybody been looking into creating a twin turret design where the individual guns within the turret can slew left or right, let's say 2.5 degrees, maybe 5 degrees plus or minus.
The complexity
No.
in that would be, good lord.
Yeah. Yeah, but so that would be an issue if the ship was engaging by itself. But as a part of a task group, you would have all the ships in the task group firing at different targets. Each ship will basically have a cone of, I can effectively engage targets rapidly in that angle. And the rest of the task group will be covering all the other angles.
Ironically enough, if you're building a cruiser designed for independent operation, that is one of the arguments why you could say, yeah, this is why you would have an ass mount. Because if you are going to be cruising and shit hits the fan and you're alone, that is one of the cases where you do want, oh fuck, they're coming from behind us.
Yeah.
But that's probably one of the only modern scenarios where I would go, yeah, you do need that rear mount. That's why I was kind of going, if I'm building a cruiser, like I'm actually, if you're sitting fleet down, putting a gun to his head and saying you have to build a traditional cruiser to cruise and be an air defense asset, I'm going to go, okay, that's fine, but give me my rear butt mount. I need my butt turret. Anyway, so there we go. A little bit of lighthearted humour to end off that little question. Modern warships are always fun with the Ramblings audience. Because we never agree, but it does lead to vigorous debate.
Thank God I'm not stating my opinion.
The question is, should it be nuclear powered or not?
I would say not. Given
I'm gonna say should.
we don't have that many nuclear certified ports. And there are a lot of places that a nuclear certified surface vessel can't go. Carriers usually get special treatment, but on the count of their carriers, so certain harbors are usually willing to waive their nuclear restrictions to take advantage of that much sailor population coming into their, area. But yes, I will put that quote in the fleetisms and quotes, because yes, that does deserve to go in there. But yeah, for a nuclear powered surface combatant, the US nuclear cruisers had this problem. They couldn't visit a lot of the ports they wanted to, because a lot of the ports just flat out said, we will not host a nuclear driven warship.
Yeah. But my question
Here
is,
would be my counter argument, though.
power generation.
Fuel prices are going to start going up.
Why? Why do you say that?
Well, just as supply for some of that sort of stuff winds down.
Why is supply going to wind down?
I'm talking over 50 years.
Well, even then, it's still probably not going to.
I'm more interested in that. I feel like, or the UK, it's probably not a good idea to go with a nuclear surface unit. Out of the sheer fact that you probably
I could see
the UK itself. The UK itself probably doesn't have too many locations where it could surface a nuclear powered warship. That might take too much of a target to set these infrastructures for the enemy. What if we just knock these out right now?
Yeah.
And then suddenly you have a nuclear powered ship that has no port that could go back to.
I mean, let's not forget, we do have the experience of sorry, that was a case of two people talking at once, but go ahead, Fox, so you technically were first.
The issue with that is Portsmouth can service nuclear vessels. They don't, but in their past they have done repairs on the nuclear icebreakers when they've had issues.
I mean,
and if places like Portsmouth have been so monumentally wrecked in a war, in this case, say, because let's be real, the threat axis is China and the Indo-Pacific.
And Russia.
Yeah. Yes, but that is kind of proves my point, is places like Portsmouth, where you would service these ships, aren't really under threat from a conventional strike from China, and then or the Indo-Pacific in general. Any strike by the other threat axis, the Russians, is probably going to be nuclear. And any naval base that can support warship in a even in a limited nuclear war is getting glassed. For example, a port like Felixstowe is going to get glassed, despite being a large container port, not a military port. If that makes
Yes.
sense.
Which would actually, in that circumstance, the nuclear powered ship would have an advantage because it doesn't need refueling.
You're
It's still going to be rearmed though, and
Yeah.
you can't rearm BLS at sea.
yeah.
Good lordy, do you want to try reloading
Even
hypersonic interceptors at sea?
the USN has thrown millions. The largest navy on the planet, and also the Chinese, have both thrown millions at the problem, and they still haven't fixed it.
Well, okay, quick asterisk there. They have fixed it. They haven't fixed it economically.
Yeah.
Because the American answer was, well, floating dry docks go better.
Yes.
And then they
Um,
got asked, you want to make how many floating dry docks?
Yeah, it's like, how many do you want exactly? Oh, fuck. So, I do have a quick thing I also do want to say as a quick cap off. The main argument against nuclear is actually ease of construction, because we already have experience with power plants for a conventional large surface vessel. We built the QEs.
Yeah. My
the
thinking
experience
would
is
be
there. And you could, in theory, use scaled-down versions of the same power plants to even reduce cost further and have commonality of parts, which will bring the cost of operating all the ships down.
That was a bit more fashionable, I understand that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe going nuclear would be good for Type 83, but I do think it should be thought about, if only to start building up the infrastructure.
I don't think
It's
nuclear
So
circuits...
whatever follows on after 83 can then be nuclear powered.
I don't think you're going to see nuclear surface ships proliferate generally, given that none of the major navies are even looking in that direction. Even the Chinese aren't.
No, I think you will. But it because of good lord energy requirements. Like a mature laser system that's capable of, say, missile interception is going to consume energy like nobody's business.
Yeah.
So's the
Same
rail
with railguns.
So's the massive radar arrays that are required to finally detect hypersonics reliably at long range. Like, it's one of those, the demand's not there yet, but I could very quickly see the demand being, why do we need to do this? Well, energy consumption. Yes, we can make a conventional engine that can do it, but
Yeah,
you're
But it's
looking
going
at
to
a
be
very
insanely
limited range.
big.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so let's move on from modern warships and go back to the past. In particular, Operation Funny Go East moment. Typical Gunnery Officer asks, what if Operation Barbarossa started earlier than IRL, like in early May, probably assuming that the Italians actually don't fuck around and find out in Greece, or they win. Do you think the Germans might not get bogged down like IRL and would probably reach Moscow before the winter? It's important to bear in mind the Germans don't get bogged down IRL until right at the very end. Like, the Russians basically stopped them in the last fucking half. Although admittedly it was always going to happen, but again, same thing here. There comes a point where the Germans just outrun their logistics. Also, the Russians do also stop them, but it is more the Germans just go so far and plunge so deep into Russia on 3 axes of advance with millions of men and thousands, if not millions, of tons of equipment across 3 fronts that are continually dividing, on a nation whose railway network doesn't match the gauge of the invaders, and who are, where they can, actively destroying their bridges and supply hubs as they go east, is it any wonder that the Germans bogged down when they did? Now, admittedly, what you might have is if they're going to get bogged down at the same time in terms of the time it takes them to get bogged down, but what it might mean is that you might be able to rush winter clothing to the troops before shit hits the fan. You might have less casualties in the winter. Because you'll have that, oh shit, we're going to be here for the winter, and the Russians aren't going to keel over. In that month, the extra month or 2 you've got, fuck, rush the winter clothing out, fuck. I'm done.
I would like to just put a quick counter proposal. What stops the Wehrmacht isn't the Red Army in 1941. What stops the Red Army is the Wehrmacht running out. What stops the Wehrmacht is the Wehrmacht running out of energy. It runs out of fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Going
what it's
early
basically saying.
doesn't change the fuel consumption.
Yeah.
And honestly, it does make it harder for the Germans to push in hindsight. Because one of the big reasons the front collapses so quickly is that Stalin had called all of high command back to the Kremlin, including some of his few competent general staff. So, and just to check, so men like commanders like Gregory Zhukov and the other competent ones we know from later World War II were called back away from their armies to the Kremlin. At this point, as I understand it, this is before they get called back.
Right.
So the organizational structure of the Red Army will not be nearly as brittle. So when they start taking defeats, there's a good chance that with competent and actual command that's on the ground, they don't just shatter.
Retreat in good order, basically, where that's possible.
They
And
can
at that point,
reorg.
if the Red Army can reorg, it's going to be very painful for the Red Army, but it's going to be even more painful for the Wehrmacht.
Yeah.
Of course, assuming the competent officers are the ones in charge.
You got anything to add, Dragon? Apparently not.
He's
It
not
may
that
not
good.
be. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. German issue has always been logistics. The Red Army stopped the Germans because of the German lack of logistics for such a deep dive into Soviet Russia. So starting earlier means nothing.
Starting earlier might mean you're in a worse situation than about it.
Yeah, because there's even less time for the logistics to be fully prepared, which it wasn't fully prepared to begin with, so, you know.
Yeah, but what month do you say they're taking part in?
Early May.
Oh,
So instead
yeah.
so basically they skipped Greece. Like
no,
the
so
original.
you've launched Barbarossa straight into Ukrainian mud season.
Oh, well, that's hysterical laughter.
Now, it's not the big end of year Rasputin, but it's the thawing of the ground.
Early
the
May's
tail
been
end of
thawing for a little bit. It's not the initial thaw that's like the swamp ass level of cancer,
Yeah.
but yeah.
It's not. It's the latter part where it's places like the northern regions of Ukraine. So yeah.
Now, here's a question that
Now this is something I'm not too familiar with, but I'm willing to. I'll have a crack at it. Bo Millboy asks, how does the USCG crewing levels compare to US and EU naval crewing levels in terms of overstuffing for damage control / casualty absorption? Okay, realistically, the only navy that overstuffs their ships, owing to their policy on how they deal with damage control, is the US. It's not something that any other navy really does. And the US Coast Guard is a Coast Guard force. By necessity, its vessels are not crewed like warships, because they're not. They're Coast Guard cutters, they're law enforcement vessels. Albeit because of the US, they have the potential to be very heavily armed enforcement vessels, but they are still at heart
They're
Coast
still
Guard.
enforcement vessels. They're not expected to be in the sort of situation that would necessitate, or that would cause damage that would necessitate that sort of manning.
Basically,
also,
the Coast Guard
is
the
cash
Coast
strapped.
Guard's the Coast Guard's typical idea of a target is a fishing boat,
Yeah.
not a frigate that would shoot back at you with equivalent size firepower.
The point is, basically, the reason a lot of them carry stuff like 57mm or 5-inch guns is basically so that if some daft sod is stupid enough to shoot at the Coast Guard cutter with something, say, as threatening as an RPG, A, he's likely to not kill it, and B, the response he gets in return will be a lot more direct and a lot more, oh fuck, I'm dead.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, if the Coast Guard has to shoot at something with similar firepower to its own or to itself, something has went very, very wrong.
Most of the time,
Yeah,
they don't
Yeah,
activate the three. Sorry, go on.
Or they're LARPing as the Japanese Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah,
but
regularly start shooting.
There is a difference.
three.
The Japanese Coast Guard has to deal with the Chinese Coast Guard.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and all of the fucking sea mines that just seem to be there. I learned that at the coast at the well, no, that's more the Japanese Navy. The Japanese Navy is very proud of their minesweeping efforts. Very proud. Channel Lord Chandel asks, question for Fleet specifically, why do you think the Romanian Kitbash tanks constitute a proper tank program when it consists of tanks captured in battle, hand-me-downs, or being given guns procured in a similar manner? The minimum I'd consider a tank program is modifying a foreign tank with a home-produced gun. So, you don't consider the engineering work required to take a T-60 light tank, remove the turret, cut the superstructure down, replace it with a new upright that doesn't overtax the chassis, then balance the chassis, and then work out how to balance the chassis so that it can take and fire a F-22 76mm gun from the chassis, and then turn it into a tank destroyer, and then obviously figure out how you're going to fit the crew into that tank ergonomically, and figure out how you're going to carry the rounds. You don't consider that enough of a design process that could be considered a tank program, or taking Romania's own bored out Ziz 2s that they then turn into 75mm guns, and they started building themselves, which they then mounted on an 35T chassis, which is actually the vehicle that the prototype of was then. The Germans were inspired, quote unquote. They took the plans and then used them to build the Hetzer. Well, the Hetzer was slightly different, but yeah, the Maysel tank destroyer was very much a Ukrainian project. Or I mean, the example where the Romanians took R-35 tanks and somehow, without removing the thick gun mantlet of the R-35, made it workable to still have a workable one-man turret that carried a 45mm gun, the Russian 45mm gun. Or the work the Romanians did regarding their T-34s. Like, I could go on. Just because the Romanians didn't build anything of their own apart from maybe the Marcels, that still doesn't mean there wasn't a great deal of engineering and mechanical thought going on into the manufacture and conversion of these vehicles.
It's very simple.
Well said.
If shit goes into the factory and comes out different, it's a program.
Did they produce the stuff? Yeah, because when the T-60 went into the factory, it was a T-60. When it came out of the factory, it was a tank destroyer with a completely different superstructure and a completely different gun.
It's just like how the Sherman Firefly is also technically a tank program.
Yeah, like man hours were invested, designs were drawn up, engineers had to be consulted, the army was liaised with. Like,
It doesn't matter if they just cut holes into the turret and stuff things in willingly. Work was done.
Like, the Romanians were the most inventive of any of the Axis miners. They turned T-60s armed with 20mm guns into... Hang on.
75mm casemates, was it?
76mm casemates. Like, they turned T-60s. Like, look at this. Like, it's... Like, they mounted a 76 on this, and somehow they didn't overload the chassis. It's goofy as all heck in terms of how it looks, but for some reason it actually works as a bloody tank destroyer.
Yeah. It's like saying the Finns didn't have a tank program. Despite capturing and converting to their own use their own Russian and Soviet tanks. It's like saying the BT-42, for example. That wasn't a tank program. Despite the fact that it fucking was.
I mean, and then of course you've got stuff like the TAC out. Like, again, the Romanians kept cooking. They took their R2s that they had a little limited license to build domestically and fitted them with the their own domestic 75 to produce that.
Yeah.
Like,
or it's the Canadians doing the cold weather modification program to their licensed built Shermans. That was still a tank program. Despite the fact it's literally just a licensed produced Sherman with extra steps.
It's very simple. There's only really one nation in World War II that didn't really have their own tank program. And I'm fairly sure that's China.
I thought China did.
no, China did some funky shit with FT-17s.
Or am I thinking of the communist Chinese who did the weird conversions of the T-34s in the late?
No, the nationalists did some funky shit with Panzer Is and FT-17s during the early part of the Sino, when it was still the Sino-Japanese War. We don't talk about the mad things. We don't talk about.
No, they didn't. They got tanks. They sent them in immediately. They didn't do anything to them.
Fairly certain they did, unless I'm misremembering.
I thought it was the communists that did the weird modifications to the T-34s. Or was that post-war?
That's like post-war stuff.
Way where they just cut the roof up and then put the anti-aircraft guns in.
Oh no, that was well post. That was well post.
That is well post-war.
Yeah, that is. We are well into the post-war world there. Like that is like we are.
As simple as this. There is no time for China to do anything about the stuff they got.
It's just, oh fuck, the Japanese are right there. Fuck. Basically. Anyway,
moving on.
Yes. So the next thing is 1931 asks, in against all odds, all history, the British built an 18,300-ton standard Type 46 missile cruiser with 192 VLS. Would that be in some ways the British version of the strike cruiser idea? It depends. The whole thing with the strike cruiser was that it was supposed to be specifically not just an air defense asset. It was supposed to be a asset to strike with Tomahawk. So it depends. Is this British-built cruiser designed to be a surface action group leader with a heavy anti-surface punch, like the US strike cruisers were supposed to be? Or is it a contemporary to Tycho, where it's basically a pure air defense asset through and through, and that's its job? Because if it's the former, then yes, it is a strike cruiser equivalent. But if it's the latter, then it's more of a embiggened Tycho derivative, designed to fulfill fleet air defense duties. And that's the distinction. It's not so much down to what the VLSs can carry, because if you're doing 192 VLS, then you're probably using Mark 41. So yeah, you can carry Tomahawk, you can carry Harpoon, you can carry Standard Missile. That's fine. It's more a case of what are you being built for by the Navy itself.
Harpoon VLS.
Well, you can attempt. It kind of works. But at that point, then, like, why are you doing it? Like, fucking Tomahawk exists. Like,
I
Tomahawk.
mean, you could do it if you could somehow quad pack harpoons into a VLS.
Yeah, and at that point, I'm also like, Tomahawk exists. Hello. Oh, hang on. Oh,
I
boy.
mean, yes, but quad pack harpoons.
Yeah, I mean, quad-packing harpoons would be funny. Chandler Chandler asks, following on from question 30, in the 1930s, the Swedish Scandinavian Navy
here we go.
modernizes their British capital ship stock. Would it be more sensible to reduce the armament from 8 13.5-inch guns to 9 11-inch guns, 2 4 1 aft, and use the midship space for more power, higher speed,
No.
more air armament, and aircraft handling facilities? How would you modernize the Orion class? I mean, we covered this in the actual question when we answered it. We went all the way through to like the outbreak of 39 World War II. And we basically said, by the 30s, the Orions are on their way out. Their successors are being built or are in service.
Yep.
And regunning lions.
I don't
That's
think
just-
I did miss a question from you, Gunnery Officer. I'm looking and I don't see any yellow dots without greens. Oh! Didn't we answer the one about US carriers?
We'll do that next.
Oh, yeah, we kind of already touched on this one last week. But in terms of how you would modernize the Orion class in the 30s, I wouldn't. Replace or retire.
No.
No.
If you have to modernize them, stick a whole bunch of anti-aircraft guns with them.
Yeah, you really don't want to do an extensive modernization.
Because the few things
Maybe
or
pull out
intent-
the amidships turret, but
No.
No.
there is
only
nothing-
to make only to make space for the magazines for all the anti-aircraft.
No. There is nothing more invasive into a warship, especially a battleship or a dreadnought, than going in and either taking out or changing the layout of the main battery.
Yeah.
Because you're having to rip a significant portion of the ship down to its keel plates.
Yeah, don't do it.
There's only one country that actually was contemplating on this, and that was Japan.
Oh, and the
Yeah,
Italians,
but that
don't
was to
forget.
get around a treaty.
And the Italians with their rebuilds.
Well, no, they're just trying to upgrade the Congos with modern 14-inch guns, but they didn't. They just gave up.
Yeah, but remember, the Italians were the only ones who actually did rip out a turret and replace it with machinery.
I mean, okay, yes, and the Italians. Similar idea. We're talking about two countries that, for their refit, stripped down the entire ship down to its keel and rebuild it back up.
Basically.
And didn't really gain much from doing it, if I may be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, the first Italian rebuilds makes sense because of the when. So the rebuilding of the first pair of Italian dreadnoughts, given that the treaties were still very much in force, First London was still very much in force, the Deutschlands were still a long way off, the French laying down Dunkirk and Strasbourg in response was still very much a way off, and that wasn't really a problem. However, the argument for the second pair is basically non-existent. You're already building the Littorios, or making plans to build the Littorios. These two ships are going to take up dockyards you can't use to build the Littorios. Like, they could have had 6 Littorios. They hadn't bloody gone for the second pair of rebuilds.
And to be fair, this is also done under the assumption that these ships can't be replaced.
Yeah. If they can be replaced like we assumed they could be, in our scenario, they were already on their way out.
Yeah,
the
they'll get
30s.
thrown out immediately
Not for that immediately,
for
but
complete brandishing.
yeah, they were phased out gradually over the course of the late 20s, early 30s. 1951 asks, how likely is it the Yamato would survive the 2 Able tests? If she's placed somewhere equivalent to Nagato, it's highly likely. Just because of how big she is. If she's left in the same condition the other ships were, yeah, it's likely that she'll still be afloat or just slightly sinking in the same way the other ships were. It's hard.
Battleships are strangely resistant to nuclear blast effects.
Yes, they are. Why do I always pull that Phineas and Ferb line out? You're strangely resistant to nuclear blast. Yes, I am. Oh, fucking kill me now! Kill me now!
No, bullets are too expensive.
Come on, the old spiral.
That would put you out of your misery, and I find your misery fun and enjoyable.
Cruel.
No. I have been looking for a will it blend target.
No.
Because I want to. Because I've got something that's functionally 6 foot long. Basically wrench in polearm form.
Right.
That I really want to see how well it actually breaks people is a bad way of saying it, Foxer. How well it corrects objects with a poor understanding of their place in the universe. Yes, let's go with that.
Oh.
So, should I be concerned?
Concern.
Yeah, yes, you should.
Concern. Please do not do me a concern.
Well, have I told you about my Omniscience Power Axe?
No, I don't want to be power axed, please. I don't want to die.
Have I not told you?
No.
Oh.
Do not
Yeah, I got it
hurt.
for Christmas. Made by an actual Renaissance era blacksmith.
Oh no.
It's fun.
Oh.
And it
boy.
makes things go snap snap.
I don't want to go snap snap.
It makes bones go snap snap. And people go snap snap.
I don't want to go snap snap. Anyway, next question.
Your neck will go snap snap.
Typical officer.
Here's the fun question.
During the carrier battle lull in the Pacific in 1943, what would happen if the IJN decided to attack US holdings in the South Pacific with their carriers? Do you think the US South Pacific Carrier Division 1 with the Lent, Victorious, and Saratoga would be enough to tackle 2 Japanese carriers and fleet carriers in a battle? Do you think Victorious would be the sole survivor in the case of battle damage, while Saratoga would be sunk because she didn't have an armored flight deck? Politely, I don't think there would be a carrier battle. Because unless the Japanese are trying to do something like actually do an invasion of a US target, unless those carriers are covering some form of landing force, if it's just a raid, then the US can rely on in-theater land-based air assets to try and defend against that raid. They know, through intelligence, that the 2 Japanese carriers' air wings are still chewed up and repairing and reconstituting after the blooding they got in the Guadalcanal campaign. So they're not going to be at optimum strength. And the US, again, is at this point in a holding pattern. They're waiting for the first of the Essexes to come online. They have the Japanese advance contained. So unless the Japanese advance is trying to restart or breach containment, there's not going to be a carrier engagement. The US has no reason to risk its sole operational fleet asset or Victorious for no reason. Unless there's something worthwhile to contest, like, you know, an offensive landing operation. If it's just a carrier raid for the sake of doing a carrier raid, then I don't think there will be a fleet action. If it does come to a fleet action, it's going to depend entirely on, again, with these 2-on-2 carrier actions, as we see during the Guadalcanal campaign, it very much does come down to who spots who first, who attacks who first, how the air battle goes, how the fighters are directed, the exact state of both sides' air defenses in terms of both fighters and AA defense available on the ships, and the ordnance and strike aircraft available to both sides, the escorts they have, etc. Without having access to the exact how of how the action developed, it would be very hard to call how that battle would actually go. Anyone else have anything they want to add to that?
I would love to see how 2 carriers with half an air wing is going to go up against Cactus Air Force just by itself.
And that's only one of the targets they could go after.
But that's the only relevant target to go after, to be fair. Because what else is there in the South Pacific?
Yeah, that's a good point.
The first thing you run into is going to be Guadalcanal. It's Cactus Air Force. If you want to strike anything else, you're going to have to walk through Cactus.
Yeah.
And by 43, it's not just Americans stationed there. The funny Kiwis are there with their Hudsons.
Kiwis! Kiwis!
And yeah, the Cactus Air Force will spot you before you could even figure out what's happening over Guadalcanal. It's just,
Yeah, the Hudsons.
it is an active air base with top tier frontline squadrons there. You're 2 carriers with half an air wings. Just
Yeah.
you're feeding your carriers to the Americans.
There's a reason why 1943 saw very few major carrier actions.
And to be fair, if there is a carrier action, it's most likely just Victorious and Saratoga launching a strike at the 2 at Shokaku and Zuikaku, because Cactus Air Force is like, oh look, carriers.
Carriers, they exist. Hey lads, you want to have a funny you want to hit them with the
Kill.
old yeah, literally.
Unfortunately, the Battlefield 1 quote does not apply in this case. A dreadnought is not always visible through the fog of war.
Kill! Bong!
To be fair, I think the more interesting thing that could happen is if the IJN decided to go all in and throw in the Surface Task Force.
Yeah.
If they could somehow coordinate something in like early 43 with the army and bring in new divisions and just basically the IJN sit a surface fleet nearby Guadalcanal and just, try to achieve local superiority via just having a giant Yamato there. It's not good fun for the IJN, but that's probably the only type of force that IJN could probably throw around that would get a proper response from the Americans and the Allies.
Yeah. Okay, my throat's getting a little bit off kilter. I think I'm talking a bit too much.
Why don't you let us take over?
Yeah.
Well, I've definitely put my foot in my mouth a few times today. Sorry, Dragon, I didn't mean to accidentally go full fleet mode there. If you can hear me, we can't.
There's still quite a few questions to go through, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, the next one will be fun to deal with.
YouTube Minecraft Watcher asks, what is your opinion on this battleship design I'm floating around? Lion hull, 3x3 16.5, caliber 45, 10x2 5-inch 2.5, and a 3 low 2 up similar to an Iowa. Stern aviation instead of a midships. 12 optical pom-pom mounts, 26 20mm tin mounts, and using turbo electric drive. alongside the modernized small tube boilers, the same models put in a modernized Warspite. The name is Leviathan. A lot of the design
ship.
choices are making me scratch my head.
Yeah.
Why turbo electric?
Yeah.
Why 2 up, 2 down with the secondaries? Sorry, not why 3 low, 2 high?
It's basically the standard American layout.
But why? That's the British came to entirely different conclusions for their secondary battery and aviation arrangements because of the oceans they have to
Yeah.
operate in. You can't.
Yeah, let's just assume that this is for the specific then.
I'll let you take this because I know this is your zone, Foxo. This is the thing you know.
I mean, when's this built as well? Are you saying built this in the 30s? In the
Yeah,
40s?
when is this built? Because
Is YouTube Minecraft Watcher here? Because I don't think he's here.
I don't know.
No, he has been typing stuff. There we go. There he is.
Good evening. We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
Yes, if you're listening to this message, please respond. After the tone.
Fitness Grand Pace test is a multi-stage
I have ran that in like 20 years.
Oh,
and,
God.
and it's just the trauma of everyone still remembers.
1937. So basically, instead of KGVs, we built that. I mean, let's kick off with the most basic thing: propulsion, turbo electric drives. What do you think of the Royal Navy's opinion on that?
Well, if the Royal Navy gets their way, whoever proposed this is going to hang.
I thought you would say that.
Because you've given them an entirely bespoke, less efficient, poorly scaling engine system. That doesn't have the advantage of the ship needs exorbitant power demands.
Isn't the entire point of turbo electric to be fuel efficient in a cruise?
Yes, and yes.
And from what I understand, turbo electric gets much more ridiculous and hard to build when you start increasing this ship speed.
Yeah. Because diesel electric and turbo electric are part of the issue.
Makes sense.
Like, diesel electric's really fucking good cruising. But this is a battleship, you don't want it cruising. You want it to have speed burst.
Which makes me wonder, it would be ludicrously expensive.
Oh, yes.
Could you go diesel electric on, like, minesweepers and sloops?
Yeah, they did. They literally did.
Oh, did they? Oh.
Yes.
Bloody phlegm with no.
But obviously, our entire issue right now is that they're trying to run a. This is probably. We're looking at least 60,000 ton, probably.
Yeah, you look at running a 55,000 ton battleship. And diesel electric is really good at this period for small things. It turbine scale exponentially, diesel engine scale linearly. Then it comes to power.
Right.
Okay, so
Now
did I
to weapons. Nothing. Nothing much. We just first hit the turbo electric drive issue.
I forgot the Napier Deltic exists.
Now let's move on to weaponaries. 16.5s in 1937.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that there's 16, the newer 16-inch guns would probably be a better idea.
Yeah, they're maintaining two development lines because the 16-inch is the lightweight gun, while the 16.5 is the development of the earlier 16.5-inch gun of World War One vintage. That's much heavier, much more heavily built,
Mhm.
and is lower velocity as well, but it's a much heavier projectile. And so they kept development as the test around the what's the sweet spot with projectile velocity tests, 20s and 30s.
So you agree with the 16.5 choice?
I'm not saying it's a good idea, I'm saying it's possible.
Okay. If you have to choose, you probably choose the newer 16s, so right? Because that was my train of thought.
What I would do is I would choose the 16s and the 1940s that are coming out, which is a combination of the two lines. But if we're building this one, we're building the KGBs, that's designing and building the KGBs, especially at their start. That 16-inch doesn't exist, and you're looking at somewhere based off the Nelson 16-inch. And at that point, do you want an actually good 16-inch gun? Or do you want a gun that has commonality with the Nelsons?
I'd rather have commonality. It brings you up to a decent fleet.
Yeah, but... And then that's complicated by the fact that the 16-inch guns that are coming in 1940 have no compatibility shell-wise or recoil mechanism option in general with the 16s that got flying. So you're going to have to make the jump away from them, and that's what design the gun eventually. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So it's doable.
about
I wouldn't say
second-
it's a good idea. I wouldn't say it's a bad idea. It's doable.
How about the secondaries then? I believe we pointed out quite a few things about it.
Which secondary is it again?
The 5.25s in the Iowa layout.
They work. It'll just be a case of they'll take up slightly more internal volume, but they'll work. And once they get BT fuses in the mid-40s, they're the second deadliest medium heavy AA gun on the planet.
Yeah.
And are able to contest for first place, so
And then what else? Stern aviation instead of the midships. What is the British stance on stern aviation?
the British didn't like stern aviation. It's one of the big reasons they go for the secondary layout they do, because you can put the catapult in between the two sections of the superstructure. Because the British really like to, because the North Sea and the Atlantic give a windbreak to the catapult.
Makes sense.
But
But considering, the current secondary layout means it has to be stern aviation.
they wouldn't like it, but they can do it. And as long as it's not
Yeah.
operating in the North Atlantic, it should be fine. Watch
And
it spend an
then-
entire career in the North Atlantic.
Well, other than that, A mount, well, this A mount on the 55,000 tons. If that's not enough, you could just throw on more.
Yeah. I mean, you're not getting... It doesn't say any special AA mounts, like, say, the Stag mount, so...
Yeah. It's 37, so it's a lot of bolt-on stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it was the Stag Mount, that would be scary. 20 aircraft attacking it.
So yeah, that is basically our opinion of what you call the Leviathan.
Good.
Propulsion is primarily the problem.
Yes. Typical
I'm just trying to figure out why Brandon Larson pinged me.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything, he just pinged me.
Typical officer asks,
Yeah.
what if Cheney wasn't a SecDef in the late 80s and the same goes for Rumsfeld in the 2000s? Would the US end upgrade and keep the Tomcats well into the 2010s? Same question for the Perry FFGs. That is an impossible question to answer without knowing who replaces them, what effect that has on the international geopolitical situation, whether or not the fact they aren't SecDef is because of differences in US government at the time, which therefore leads to a difference in US policy overall. But again, the main thing is, without knowing who replaces them as SecDef, I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Well,
We can answer
there
the
are-
half of the question, which is the Tomcats not getting any more life out of it.
As soon as Super Hornet comes along, there's no point to keeping the Hangar Queens that are the Tomcats, even the Tomcat Ds.
It's also like...
I mean, it doesn't. To be fair, both of these are related to each other. Tomcat gets thrown out because of money. Perry's is gonna get thrown out because of money.
Like the Perrys, the Perrys
It's
were good
just-
ships, but it's just the problem is the threat environment kept advancing as well, and so while the Perrys were very capable multi-purpose FFGs for the 80s, 90s,
For the 80s.
and early 2000s, beyond that point, you're basically going, yeah, no, the Perry is not. No, that
No, early 2000 is stretching it.
It is stretching it, but the point remains.
It's simple as this. Perry still uses Mark 13. That arm's just not gonna last yourself into the moment you get into 2010s. No one's gonna take it seriously,
Yeah,
and the cost to modernize a Perry into VLS is just going to be astronomical to
it's
the
not
point
even.
where
It's
it's
not
like,
worth doing it.
why?
It also denies the Perrys what part of their utility. The fact that they can switch from, yeah, it just denies the Perrys the ability to parry.
Yeah, I'm
At
just
that
trying to figure
stage,
out-
build something new.
I'm trying to figure out why they're trying to keep the Tomcat around.
Yeah, it's like Super Hornet is just better.
Okay,
It's over that Tomcat.
no. There's
aircraft.
only one thing that Tomcat could do that a Super Hornet cannot. Well, okay, two things, but a Tomcat still has superior firing range compared to a Super Hornet when it came around. It's only in the 2010s when the later AMRAAM starts kicking around when it finally hits the range that Phoenix could hit. And Hornet still has the issue of the radar. It still cannot see anywhere near as far as the Tomcat. Tomcat's a fleet defender. That's the only thing it has advantage over. And obviously, in that era, what does a Tomcat need to defend the fleet from? This is like one of the primary reasons why it goes away. And the only other thing that Tomcat is better than a Hornet is loitering time. A Tomcat will loiter longer on its internal and external tanks than a Super Hornet can.
But that becomes less of a
But
problem
to be fair-
when the Soviet Union keels over and dies. And suddenly,
Pretty much. And basically, the fuel issue could be fixed by tankers.
wait, are you telling me the Hornets can buddy tank more effective than the Tomcats had? Oh my god, what a shock to revelation.
Well, it's almost like the tanker unit that
What
Tomcat was designed with is well out of the fleet by now.
For China, Tomcats would be invaluable. No. Super Hornet exists. You don't... What is this obsession with Tomcat? Tomcat was a design from the 70s for the Cold War. It has been replaced by an equivalent, if not more capable asset in the form of Super Hornet and all its variants.
Like I said, Tomcat's only edge over the Super Hornet is fleet defense. In the 2000 during the 2000, that role is practically on minuscule. It's all about carrying precision guided munitions and blowing up a bunch of people in tents.
And also, quite frankly, if you want to talk about fleet air defense, the Tomcat replacement wasn't F-18 Super Hornet, it was fucking F-35.
Yeah, but I suppose the one big criticism would be the gap between getting rid of the Tomcat
No,
and
the F-35
F-35.
was not a replacement for the F-14.
No, it wasn't a
There was
direct
no-
replacement.
No,
but-
there was no direct. Okay, yes, there was no direct replacement for the F-14s.
yes.
The F-18 got pressed into the role. The F-35 was designed to supersede the F-18s.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if you want to talk about being equivalent to, if not better than, the Tomcat at fleet air defense, F-35 blows it out of the water.
No, not really. There is still one fundamental issue the F-35s and the Hornets suffers:
Oh,
range and loitering time.
35's got good range.
No, 35 has less range than a Super Hornet.
Yeah.
The entire
It
issue
doesn't
of the
replace
U.S.
the
Navy Air.
Tomcat- Doesn't replace.
Go ahead.
The Tomcats was look. I'm probably gonna get a lot of U.S. naval aviators coming to my house after what I'm about to say, but the Tomcat was an excellent aircraft for its time. But quite frankly, by the 2000s, it had its day. There were better aircraft coming on stream with better weapons to replace it. To be
not
frank,
even that.
No,
There's
a
something
better
more
definition
fundamental.
is the role that the F-14 is meant to fulfill no longer exists.
yeah.
It's a solution searching for a problem.
Well, not searching for a problem. The problem has been solved.
Yeah.
Hence, solution no longer is required.
It's
Because
all,
the moment there isn't a pure force that could threaten a U.S. carrier air group, the role of the Tomcat is done.
it's also worth pointing out
Which
that
means now you have a bunch of Tomcats, and they could only fight for the only role that's left on a carrier, which is carrying bombs and bombing things.
yeah, Brandon, you do realize that the problem has been resolved again, because when the Tomcat comes into service, for most of its existence, the US's Aegis combatants can be numbered in double digits. The US's Aegis combatants are now close to being numbered in triple digits. The Aegis system and the fact that most US escorts for a carrier group will carry it massively reduce the need to catch an inbound strike far out. And also, theater ballistic missiles don't care about fleet air defense fighters.
And yes, the Tomcats mostly ended up sort of being bombcats by the early 2000s. And at that stage, when you're comparing a ground strike platform between a Tomcat and a Super Hornet,
Or even an A6, for
you
God's
know.
sake. There's a reason why the A6 stuck around longer than the Tomcat did.
No, it didn't.
I'm sure A6 did.
No, it didn't.
I remember them serving into 2015. I'm sure.
The electronic warfare versions.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting me prowlers and me fucking.
Prowlers and
Intruders,
prowlers.
I'm getting me prowlers.
Prowlers,
and me
yes.
intruders mixed up. Yeah, I'm getting me prowlers and me intruders mixed up. Yeah. Ah, feck.
And yeah, it's just fundamentally speaking, Tomcat's a 60 design. Its avionics is so analog that it's just not compatible with early 2000s technology by that stage. And
Yeah.
and in order for you to rebuild the Tomcat for modern digital equipment, that's gonna cost you so much.
In order for you to extend the life of the Tomcat past when they were actually retired, you basically have to have the US fleet the D. You need to have the USN fleet the D Tomcats. And you need
Well,
to have
no,
them
they'll be buying the new models of Tomcats that Gremlins were trying to sell, but obviously they were like, yeah, we know you're probably gonna say the Super Hornet's better because it is as a ground strike platform,
yeah.
as a multi-row ground strike platform, because that's what's designed to do.
Yeah,
There's no need to eat long sticks at people, so Tomcat go
Yeah.
away until
Yeah, I feel
there's
like
a
we
need
are.
to eat long sticks.
Yes.
Yeah, we are going in
96
circles.
Yeah, 96831 asks for Foxo. With the amount of locations seen in the Azure Lane port in-port timeline, would not be unrealistic that the AL port in-port timeline would be a landmass close to that of Australia. That's me reading that verbatim. So,
Ah, what?
I'll read it again. For Dragon
Yeah,
and Foxo, with the amount of
Just skip it.
Fortnite.
yeah, if you want
Because I ain't equipped to answer that. You're gonna want to ask that to Dragon
And Dragon isn't here.
yeah, Dragon will probably be back on Monday, so ask it again on Monday.
Or Sunday if you feel like interrupting.
Yeah, I mean, you can ask it in brew ships. Yeah. Dragon and Foxo will probably be in brew ships, so yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Thursday, Friday.
Next.
Okay, so the next question is from Typical Gunnery Officer again. It's actually nice to see we actually do have a nice variety of questions from a nice variety of people this Monday. It's nice to see. Do you think the USSR wouldn't have been able to develop their own long-range strategic bomber without the captured B-29 and the reverse engineering that turned them into Tu-4s? They were there. They were pretty much there. Tupolev had come up with a piston-engined design that was a B-29 equivalent, but it was canned when basically a mature airframe was basically handed into their laps. And what it did do is it basically helped feed the what's it called?
Look, Tupolev probably have things cooking. However, the captured B-29 definitely speeded up quite a lot in terms of long-range bombing. The Russians probably had to skip quite a few, things that they didn't have to make mistakes with.
The prize
Yeah, well-
isn't the aircraft or the fuselage or the engines. The prize is the avionics,
Yeah.
and that's something the Soviets were very behind on. For reference, look at the development of the TE-8. Next question.
And don't forget that is still the strategic bomber of choice for the Soviet Union at the time.
And don't forget, by this point, the P-8 has been yes, the P-8 had problems, and then of course it handed over to Tupolev, and they do work on it. But let's not forget that by the time that the Tu-4 lands in their lap, the P-8 / whatever they've turned it into, I forget the later models with the Tupolev designation. That's a mature airframe that's seen war service, and they've hammered out a lot of the problems.
It's not a
still
particularly
got the
good strategic
avionics.
bomber.
It still has very poor avionics.
Oh yeah, no denying.
And the issue that P-8 had was it was an incredibly hostile aircraft to fly.
Yes.
Now, you can argue that a hostile aircraft to fly can be construed as good for fighter aircraft. When you're a 4-Ranger strategic bomber, a hostile flight performance is very, very bad.
Do
It
not.
means
Yes.
it means you're an unpredictable aircraft.
Don't be unpredictable.
It's also it also doesn't fly very far.
That too.
Yeah. 96831 asks, if the Swedish pre-Washington Naval Treaty offered to buy the 4 Iron Dukes and Tiger, will that help the RN at the Washington Naval Treaty? No,
Yes.
not at all, because the RN,
In what way?
because the 4 Iron Dukes and Tiger were planned to be the RN's mobile, cheap-to-operate capital ships in the immediate post-war period under the treaties. they were to be the lowest echelons of the battlecruiser and battleship fleets. The RN isn't
They're the
offering.
second battle line, basically.
Yeah, the RN isn't offering them for sale. The ships the RN would be willing to part with Washington at the Washington Conference are the Orions, the Splendid Cats, the Eyes, the Indefatigables, and any of the 12-inch dreadnoughts anyone wants. They are not willing to part with their newest 13.5-inch ships.
Except the
Did they
fact
keep the
they
KGBs
are,
around?
and
Pardon?
they were willing to entertain offers for the purchase of the 13.5-inch ships.
Not all of them. Not the Iron Dukes and the Tigers. The older
But they
ones.
were for Iron Dukes.
But even so, I don't think Sweden could stump up the cash for the Iron Dukes. Maybe for the Orions, perhaps, but not the Iron Dukes.
Yeah, because how they ended up looking at it from what I've read, the Iron Dukes would have been cheap, but they would have cost actual money. The Orions were scrap value.
Right.
What about the KGBs?
Because KGBs, I think they were also going for scrap value. Because the Iron Dukes were the best of the 13.5-inch warships, and arguably the best of the 14-inch warships.
What about Tiger? How do you rate her?
If you put her in a slugging match against an Iron Duke, it's not fight.
I would still say that the best 14 or 13.5-inch warships the world ever saw in this this period goes to the Fusos, goes to the Iseis.
I
They-
won't.
They are a generation beyond the Iron Dukes,
Oh,
and
really?
it shows.
Oh, really?
They've got better fire control. They're faster. They're slightly less
Okay,
well
no. Are we
protected.
talking period or modernized? 'Cause if you're going to go with a modernized, then yeah, they win.
Both. I would.
Not for their period when they're built.
I would give an Issei any money to slap an Iron Duke one-on-one.
I wouldn't.
Am I talking like a pirate? People say I'm talking like a pirate.
To some degree, yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, Knight, you're probably better off asking that question to both Dragon and Foxo on Sunday. Because you are missing one of the two people who would be able to probably give the context required for that question to be answered. So I'd ask that again on Sunday
See,
in
I
Brew
think-
Ships.
I think the problem with the Iseis are it has better firepower, it has slightly better speed, but that armor, man.
Anyway, so we should probably move on to the second part of the question. How will that, if it happens, how will it help the RN at Washington Naval Treaty? Because I assumed it just wouldn't happen, but now Foxo is saying no, it can. So how will that help? I mean, if you get rid of those, then I mean,
Then it forces everyone else to get rid of their 14-inch ships.
that's not going to fly. The RN, that's not going to fly. The Japanese are not going to get rid of their 4 most modern capital ships. It's not going to happen. And the US is not
Well,
going to get.
it's
And
either
the
that,
US,
or they're going to get told, okay, we get to build more 50s.
well, no, the RN will be told, okay, you get.
And they not argue to keep more 14 or
No,
more 14 or 13 class?
like the RN's going to be the thing will be like you have a tonnage limit. How you choose to fill that is up to you.
Yeah.
But like the choice.
Get more
like,
15s.
no. They don't
Well,
get to
no,
build. They
not
don't
like
get.
that,
They
obviously.
don't get to build new construction. The RN has a tonnage limit. They're the ones who chose to sell off Iron Duke and Tiger prior to the Washington Naval Treaty. So
Yeah.
they're the ones who are stuck with some of their older 13.5-inch ships instead. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not.
gonna
It's
be-
not. It's not the fault of the US and Japan. The RN's made this choice.
Royal Navy
My
don't really
opinion
care.
is this lets the RN keep a lot of the fast 13.5s.
Yeah.
They could keep the cats.
Problem is they've sold the best of the
Or they could keep
Tiger.
the Paracats.
They've
And
sold
Tiger.
No, they've sold Tiger in this.
Oh, okay? We're including Tiger in this deal.
That's what it said. 4 Iron
Yeah,
Dukes
it-
and
it-
Tiger. Like, this is the thing I don't understand.
It should also be known because, frankly, we
I
have no
could see-
fucking clue how it's going to be decided.
I could see Iron Dukes, but man, if the Iron's throwing Tiger away, then oof.
The only
Tiger, when it comes to selling to Sweden, was very much a 1924, 1925 thing. Post-treaty.
Yeah, same thing with like I would also point out that while Knight is saying the 13.5s are up for replacement, yes, that's true, but only anything that wasn't the latest and greatest. Even under a non-treaty system, it was still foreseen that you would have the Iron Dukes and Tiger retained for at least 4 to 5 years while you get the first tranche of the new builds in, so the N3s and the G3s. Then they will probably offer up for sale.
Yeah.
Iron Duke's only 7 years old when
Yeah.
Washington was around.
Like, this is the thing.
But
7 or 8,
okay,
something like that.
but the issue is that the Royal Navy were only considering selling the 13.5 inch, including Iron Duke, because they had the N3s and G3s under construction.
Yeah.
If they've gotten rid of the Iron Dukes, they're not going to accept not getting N3 and G3.
Yeah.
And N3s or G3s,
Yeah.
which collapses the system as we know it.
Yeah, because if they've gotten rid of the Iron Dukes and Tiger, that means everything before them has also gone. Because you
That
don't,
is going.
yeah, because you don't cut in and sell ships. You don't cut in and sell ships that are more capable than. I don't know I don't know how to say it. Like, how do you? Well, how would you? I can't form the sentence in my head, which is something I don't usually have problems with. You don't cut in halfway to sell more capable things if you've got less capable things you can sell. I bet would be the way I would put it, kind of. If you get what I'm saying.
You could technically get by with the KG face there, because the Iron Duke's just basically up armored version of them.
Yeah, but Knight, at that point, then if you are saying Iron Duke and Tiger will stay until G3 and N3 are done, then they're gone. Then yeah, but
Then
by that point, then they're not being sold, and also there is no treaty anyway because G3 and N3
You
are
built
there.
G3 and N3.
Yeah, so
and then it's a case of so the Royal Navy being willing to sell the 30.5 inch dreadnoughts pre-treaty.
the only way I
The
can
Iron
see it,
Dukes were only if you could make it worth our while.
yeah, and
we
Tiger
would
just
want
wasn't.
Tiger is if you're willing to pay how much we built her for.
Yeah. What I will say, the
Which-
only. Sorry, go on. You first.
Which, as I understand it, nobody would be willing to pay that because at that point, the Royal Navy were charging similar costs to how much it cost them to build Renown.
Yeah.
And if given the choice to replace Tiger with another Renown, I'm pretty sure the Royal Navy would take that.
Yeah.
Tiger is far too important of a strategic asset to sell, in my opinion.
Yeah. The only
But in
way.
form of... Okay, just finish.
Yeah. Sorry.
But it's not until you get the offer in 1925
Fuck me.
from the Swedes that the Royal Navy is like,
Hmm.
okay, in our strategic situation, selling the KGB, the Iron Dukes for cheap is something that doesn't really affect us anymore.
Ugh.
Or selling Tiger, she's on the way out anyway. So yeah, you can have her.
So the only way I can see this working is you basically have to redo the timeline. And the reason I say this is because the way I see this working is the only way you see the RN be willing to sell off everything that's a battleship with a 13.5 inch gun is if they somehow manage to get all of the Rs built. All 10 of them. Because
Or 10 of them.
Because at that point, you have 15 inch armed capital ships. the Royal Navy has no need for the 13.5s now that the war is over. They can all go. Well, all the battleships, not the battle cruisers. They still have a role. But there's no need for 13.5-inch battleships anymore. They can all go. You've got 10 Rs and 5 QEs. You don't... In the post-war world, that is a battle line to fight anyone. Even the USN.
Yeah, but that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt the fast arm, because that means you don't have renowned repulse.
True, you don't have renown and repulse, so it might mean you're the splendid cat.
Yeah,
Which means your
but-
fast arms get Cats, Tiger, and Hood.
No, but remember that one of the big things that influences the admirals into getting cancelled is the option of converting renown and repulse. Renown and repulse don't get converted. The Royal Navy grits its teeth and finishes the admiral.
Yeah, if
And
the...
any timeline where the Royal Navy is running around with 4 admirals is
Plus-
the timeline they win the treaties.
Yeah, like this... But no, it's time where there are no treaties.
There is no treaty in
The
place.
RN doesn't have to compromise, because by the time the floodgates for war spending close, the admirals are nearly done, or are done. The second tranche of Rs are so far along. If they finished Hood post-war, they're going to finish the Rs. They're less complex ships, and you're building the second tranche, so they're cheaper anyway than the first tranche were.
You've already actually paid the cost of them.
Yeah. So you're going to end up with the RN entering the 20s with 4 15-inch battle cruisers, the Splendid Cats, 5 fast battleships, and 10 slightly slower battleships.
You still get
All of
collapse
which
treaty because
are 15-inch armed, except for the Splendid Cats.
you're still gonna get a collapse treaty simply because now you run to the issue of the only way for the treaty works if the RN agrees that all right, we have 4 admirals, so I guess we don't get any 16-inch ships. I don't think the RN is going to be like, we could take that. What do you think?
Not unless those 15-inch ships, 16-inch ships are neutered even more. Say 32,000 ton limit. So you're looking at 16-inch armed ships that are light enough and unarmored enough that an admiral could deal with them handily. But the Americans ain't going to accept that.
Yeah, hell no.
And I doubt the Japanese would either.
I mean, kind of. Nagato's thinly armored enough where an admiral would hurt it.
Yeah, but as I understand it, they were quickly moving away from that. The ships that were coming after Nagato, which had the 12-inch belt.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like the Japanese are really more focused on moving towards the fast battleship concept as well, with their funny 28 knot keys. So they're aiming for something completely different. The Americans are really the only one that's still sticking with their folding bricks. They're definitely the ones that's like, hell no, we're not taking a fucking no armor 16-inch gun ship. Especially the fact that they're already on slow end.
Yeah. Which torpedoes the entire treaty system.
Yes. So yeah, simple as that. 10 revenges. Bad idea.
It's more of giving the Royal Navy enough funds. The Royal Navy's not going to give up Iron Dukes before the. Sorry, no, it's the Iron Dukes before the treaties. Unless you give them a brilliant deal. And if you give them a brilliant deal, you're not buying them. Because why would you buy an old battleship? That funds you could get a modern one built for you.
Very much. Anyway, next question, Flake.
Fleetus has been deletus.
Fleet.
Why do I get the feeling that he be EP?
I wonder.
Sleepy EP weepy. Wait,
I think what we need to do is go into his walls.
no, I'm
In the
not.
walls.
I'm not. I'm not
In the
having
goddamn walls.
roommates.
I mean, we could scroll up until we find a yellow dove without a green checkpoint. Unless there was a YouTube question that we need to follow up on.
I have no idea.
Next question I see would be Channeler's question about the Hungarian army getting production of the Turan Mark II in October 38, the Turan Mark III in June 41, and the TASS in 43. How does this affect Hungarian involvement in the Second World War?
Does it change anything?
Yeah. I don't know Hungarian industrial manufacturing capability, so who knows? The Hungarians either are working with less tanks or they're making with a mix of tanks of Turans and whatever hand-me-down Germany is gonna give them to fill up the numbers, I guess.
Because
Fundamentally, tank capability doesn't dictate World War II's outcome in terms of the great strategic scale of things.
because nothing the Tehran can do will affect the realignment of the war economies.
Pretty much.
And once the war economies have been realigned, then everyone in Eastern Europe goes on Hitler's wild ride.
Yeah. Yay. We are now proceeding rambling without the host. All right, let's see.
I'm getting the impression Fleet has keeled over.
It's very possible, but hey,
Yeah.
we're here. We'll continue on the show. Chandelord asked another following up question to question 30. How would a hypothetical Washington Naval Treaty deal with the something Swedish, the coastal defense battleship, the Swedish coastal defense battleships?
Wait, just say that all again?
how would a hypothetical Washington Treaty deal with the Swedish coastal defense battleships back from the whole Nordic Union thingy?
They wouldn't be coastal defense battleships; they'd just be battleships to begin with.
So then, right?
Because
So
you're looking
then,
at predicted ships with 8 to 9, 14, or 30.5-inch guns. Class about 4 of them. Built throughout the 30s.
no. We're talking about the coastal defense ships built in 1912. The Swedish,
But wait,
how the hell fucking
okay,
pronounce it?
sorry, I got the United Nordic stuff. Was like, is that related to that question? But they're not going to be factored in because they're not relevant.
Yeah, because they weren't a part of the treaty. But this question's a follow up.
And
If
they are
Hello,
the treaty,
I'm back.
They're not going to be relevant because the other parties are really going to look at that and go, battleship or capital ship or just anything vaguely threatening.
there we go.
It might just be a
No,
case of why
no
we
separate
told-
categories.
It might just be a
It's
case
just
of
going to be
people-
irrelevant.
They're just gonna get told on the table to just don't bother with them.
You don't
You're
think
in-
they'll be classified as cruisers?
So, if I remember correctly, you're looking at about 18 to 21 knots.
I mean, yeah, I know.
And what some of them have 4 to 6 guns.
It's just 4 guns, 2 turrets, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking of the other ones that have the later ones. But yeah, then they're just not going to be relevant because they might get classified as pre-dreadnoughts. Put on the disposal list.
where are we?
Yeah, I guess.
What did I miss?
You missed a lot. We moved on after we noticed you died for like 5
Oh,
minutes.
sorry. Yeah, I had to go and hack up a lung, and then my throat, and then the throat attached to the lung. Yeah, it wasn't pleasant. Turns out talking
That's all
too
right.
much
We
is-
dealt with the Hungarian question, and we're just quickly wrapping up the
Where are we? Oh, I
wherever you
wanted
left
to.
off.
Oh, I wanted to. Oh, never mind.
You wanted to.
Where's my yellow dots?
I mean, you're the host. There's no reason you can't backtrack us.
If you wish to backtrack.
I make a point of not backtracking if it can be avoided, even if I have been.
You wanted to answer the Hungarian question?
No, it's fine. I make a point of not backtracking if it's been and done.
Sure.
It also serves to not undermine those who actually answered the question when they were present for it, which is something I believe firmly in.
Well, to be fair, there's nothing wrong with you just giving a quick opinion on it.
It's fine.
All right.
Oh, so you were just dealing with the Okay, you were just dealing
Yeah,
with
the one right.
Asterius.
Yeah, that question right afterwards.
All right, keep going. I will just add that to the list. Then you guys have started it, so you guys can finish it.
No, we're basically done.
Okay, so next question is the one after that.
Scroll down quite far.
Yeah.
So this magical next question.
It will still
Chandelord-
be Chandelor's question.
Chandler. Fleet, can you identify this French ship? My gut feeling is that it is a Napoleon class first rate. So from the image that they provided, Courant.
Is that a 4-decker? It looks like a
No.
4-decker.
Courant.
The 3-decker.
Yeah, that's definitely a T.
Oh yeah, it is a 3-decker.
That's definitely a T. Yeah, so that's from if I'm reading that right, it's first rate ship of the line. Courant. Now what was she? Hang on, let me just have a look. If there was a ship by that name. Steam Power. Ah, here we go. Okay. Napoleon. From what I can see, no. So let's have a look at the image. So we have the French only built 10 and converted 28.
Right.
No, they built 10, but they'd converted 28. 38 total. Have a look. Ah, they had subclasses. Okay.
Ah.
That explains a lot. So you had Napoleon and her subclasses. Hang on a minute. Nope. You had the Algéras subclass. The Ville de Nantes subclass. Were there anything that followed them? Apparently not. Yeah, no, since they were built... yeah. So no, what followed them was the Gloire class. Yeah, so it doesn't really give me the other conversions. So I probably have to go back to try and find one of the Hercule or other vessels that were converted. The problem is, though, that picture seems to show a 2-funneler, which only, I believe, only the... And only the 100-deckers would have been converted into... Suffering and Flexible were... Steam and Steel during their construction. I don't think I can identify that ship because I'm looking. I don't know if any of these. You're probably better off asking that question to Drac. Drac can probably identify her, as can Dr. Clark. I have no doubt. But as for me, doing a somewhat reasonable search, I'm having a bit of trouble, I'm afraid. Typical Gunnery Officer asks, what's your opinion on USN procurement of a landing ship medium or tank like the World War II era LSM? Is there any reason why the USN or USM Marine Corps is going back to World War II era landing ships? Do you think the USN is copying the Russians their pooches? You do realise that the landing ship medium as a bow door opening beach interface landing ship is something that hasn't really gone away as a concept. Japan operates them, the Russians operate them, as you already mentioned.
The Americans had them in reserve.
Yeah, like this isn't a regression. This is just a recommissioning of the new vessel of the type as the USN shifts its operations towards the sort of landing operations where you need that sort of asset between a ship that requires port infrastructure and a ship that has to stand offshore and ferry things ashore. They're moving to the sort of landing operations where you do want an asset that comes in after the beach is secured, but doesn't need you to hold port infrastructure for you to, affect operations of that vessel.
Yeah.
Because bear in mind, they're not just useful for landing things like tanks. Like, let's say you've secured a small island in the South Pacific as part of a campaign against China, and an LSM rocks up and unloads without needing a port, an entire battery of Patriot. All in one go. Launchers, radar, the whole works. And boom, suddenly you've turned that island into a Patriot battery. Now that you've secured it. And you didn't need to build a port or do anything like that. It's a useful asset to have that the US currently lacks. Especially in the war they're expecting to fight.
And it's also a case of the legacy assets that they had that could do that have aged out to the point that they're not viable anymore.
Yeah, it's just
There's any.
It's just
a lot
I don't think there's.
a lot of Cold War planning when it came to ships that did this wrong tended to be, a civilian ship can be modified to do this if we need to. But given how the civilian mass transporter has evolved,
yeah,
it now needs to be a custom ship.
Yep, absolutely. And
Because-
also having a custom ship means you can also shape it to your needs.
Yeah, but it's one of the cases of 50 years ago. While it would be pretty good, won't be the best. A small merchantman, you could pull this sort of thing off with. Can't do it with a modern one, unless you're willing to use it as a beaching
Yeah.
vessel.
There's a
I
thing
mean,
with
they're the sort of vessel that doesn't really go out of date. So as long as you keep them around in reserve, you really there is no
the problem.
cap on their life other than the hull.
The problem is that the size of ship you need to be an LSM has changed as the size of assets you need them to carry has
Yeah,
changed.
true.
Also, there are things that you need like I just said before. The idea of landing a Patriot battery wholesale on an island after you've just taken it would be something that the US wouldn't have considered part of an LSM's mission. Nowadays, that's basically prerequisite number one to not getting your ship blown up by Chinese ballistics or hypersonics after you've secured the island.
But they're also the sort of small utility vehicle that doesn't really get replaced very often.
That is the thing.
They
LSM,
should be replaced every 20
Yeah.
years.
and here's
There
the thing.
was
They
no
should
have-
LSMs.
I'm not saying they shouldn't be. I'm saying that because of the fact they're utility vehicles and not front line, they tend not to get the budget.
Here's what I will say. The LSM that we're looking at today is a significantly larger animal than anything of that type that has come before. But that's not surprising,
Good.
given what we're looking at.
Because the GTs, what these this would be doing, would have been being done by a enlisted or
A full-on
conscripted
landing ship.
civilian vessel.
Yeah, or they would, or they are the duties that used to fall to a full-on, full-scale landing
What?
ship tank.
And shit. Yeah. And the legacy hulls that are still merchant designs that could do this, you're looking hulls that are in their 60s.
If anything, this isn't
And
actually.
I
Sorry.
wouldn't want to take a 60-year-old civilian or military grade ship that's not in the best of, that's not in particularly good condition, is about 40 years over life into anything like a Pacific Combat Theatre.
I mean, 40 is putting it lightly.
Well, if anything, I think the ship has been mislabeled. It is far closer to what we would consider a traditional LST than an LSM in size and scale and role. But anyway, moving on. Next question is from Brandon Larson, who asks, what if the 8th Air Force had all of its bombers replaced by fully working B-29s and P-51Ds in 1943-44? How does the air war over Germany go? It gets worse for the Allies. And here's why I say this. Because it's important to bear in mind that in 43-44, the Allied Air Forces had been issued a directive. The goal of the air campaign was no longer to destroy, and they had to be, both Air Forces had to be told to get on with it. But the goal of the Allied Air Forces was now to destroy the Luftwaffe in the skies over Germany, and if that meant using the bombers to bring them up, so be it. Unfortunately, by bringing in B-29s and P-51Ds, you've put the Air Forces beyond the reach of most of the Luftwaffe fighters. Which is a bit of a problem, because B-29 doesn't like cruising at lower altitude. It doesn't like it. So you can't really bring them down there.
And it's also the fact of the B-29 in 1944 isn't a big enough jump in the European theatre for it to be a decisive advantage. And it's also not built for how these bomber forces are fighting. Like, take the RAF and Bomber Command, or USA 8th Air Force. 8th Air Force, if you just replace the B-17s, that would probably be better.
You've still got the problem of how are you supposed to lure Luftwaffe fighters up to intercept something they know they can't intercept? Which is the problem. You need to lure the fuckers up to be killed.
So,
Admittedly, the P...
Okay, pretty quickly. Did it say a specific group?
No, it just says 8th Air Force had all its bombers replaced.
Okay, so the RAF is still intact.
Yes.
Which means that the RAF takes over beating the shit out of the Luftwaffe. Which the RAF... They won't be... Bomber Command won't be happy about it.
Harris will throw a fit, as he often
Yeah.
does when given orders he doesn't like.
But Harris threw a fit anyway.
Yeah, but that's Harris.
You've kneecapped most of 8th Air Force actually useful squadrons.
Yeah.
And you've made the B-17s actually usable.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, no matter... The B-17 is just...
Well, no, the B-17 is perfect. The B-17 is perfect for 1943, 1944. They're perfect baits.
Yeah, it's ironic. They were actually very, very useful in that role of...
There's a reason why all the B-24s went to the 15th.
Yeah, there's a reason
and they
why...
operate out of Italy.
But it's also... It was a massive waste of aircrew lives.
Brandon, what difference does it have if Jimmy Doolittle's commanding them? It fundamentally, you can't operate B-29s at an altitude that the Luftwaffe can reach without the B-29s throwing a fit and basically their engines catching fire. You've said they're reliable, that's true, but the B-29 is only reliable
up at 35,000 feet.
Up at 35,000 feet, which is well above the reliable ceiling of a lot of the Luftwaffe's fighters at this point.
But okay,
the Luftwaffe need to switch over to very specialized aircraft to get up there.
You've run into the issue of the B-17 was an absolutely terrible bomber for that theatre and that conflict, especially after 42. Let's be real. However, the B-29 is quite possibly, alongside it, in one of the worst possible bombers for the European theatre.
Yeah. Brandon.
Because all of its advantages don't fucking matter.
Yeah. Brandon, I'm just going to say, the only thing Jimmy Doolittle really did was march into his headquarters, rip down the sign that said say something snappy about the duty of 8th Air Force's fighters is to shoot down the enemy rather than bring the bombers home. And that's fundamentally mostly what he did.
No.
To be fair, what Doolittle did is made warfighter pilot lose their lives over Germany. Because they go to the deck and start strafing ground target and get shut down by AAA.
Yeah, but, I mean, if you look at it like that, yeah, he didn't do much. But his entire stick was the political fight around 8th Air Force and getting that the autonomy it needed.
No, I agree with that. He was good in that sense.
Feed itself into the meat grinder. And even with him running interdiction and allowing them to operate autonomously from Washington. Washington still had enough influence to do stuff like stopping night bombing. And the insistence on questionably escorted raids. That would have been much, much worse about Doolittle.
Fair enough.
Because Doolittle had the political clout to cockblock any attempts to micromanage them.
To be fair, there's a way of making a B-29 work in the European theater.
Base it out of fucking ice. Oh god, no, I should have thought.
Well, no, not really. No, the
Maritime
big thing
Patrol B-29.
Oh,
well, no,
God.
the big thing... No. The big thing about B-29 is that if you throw out the entire concept of precision bombing and just go adopt Bomber Harris' idea of just burn everything. The B-29 would work.
I mean,
If you don't have to aim for anything, just drop shit all over Germany.
I mean, there is also the fact that if it is B-29, it finally gives the 8th something that can carry cookies, tall boys, and grand slams, which at that point opens up the door to just
what?
Well, here's the thing: if you can carry cookie and the B-29 can carry a lot of cookie, then suddenly you become the destroyer of buildings. I am become death destroyer of buildings. Because that was the main problem with the 8th strategy. The 8th, by 43-44, was actually getting, by bombing by leader and using radio and radar bombing, aka, beam bombing, their accuracy had improved to a point where they were landing bombs within the target area and were hitting the factories. The problem is they were dropping 500 and 1,000 pounders that weren't really doing jack shit to the factories. Whereas if you've got B-29 now, and you're dropping like 2 to 3 cookies out of each fucking B-29, even if only 3 to 4 of those cookies hit the factory, that factory isn't just holed with, some of the roof missing and some machines damaged. It's fucking gone. Like, it's fucking gone, mate.
Post-war bombing surveys would disagree with you.
Yeah. Saturate
And-
bombing with 500-pound bombs is better.
Well, because I think the RAF figured out that bombing with a mixture of 1,000 and 2,000 pound bombs is effective.
Well, either way, we could do that as
You
well.
see, because the 1,000 pounds were very good at facilitating the firestorm. The 2,000 pound is very good at starting the firestorm.
And then dropping
then the
incendiary
firestorm
sticks for
killed
good
everyone.
measures. Then dropping incendiary sticks just for good measure.
But the 2,000 pounders were the incendiaries.
Oh my! What a
Yes, they
shocking-
used an early form of gelatin gasoline.
Napalm.
Proto-napalm.
Let's burn.
Well,
But
then.
yeah,
burn,
that's what
baby,
I'm saying.
burn.
My idea is literally screw the original 8th Air Force plan. Put the 8th Air Force under Bomber Harris command, and
Oh god,
instead
that's
of
gonna.
bombing at night,
That's
we'll just cycle day-night bombing.
Yeah.
Cycle day-night 1,000 plane raids.
So what we've established is if you can get 8th Air Force full autonomy and integrate it into Bomber Command, the B-29 is an objective improvement. If you can't, and you're still stuck with Washington's idea of how you do strategic bombing, then
Yeah. Oh fuck, you're fucked.
they're not much use.
Yeah. Right. I'm gonna hand over to Fox over this one because she's the resident firearms expert. While I very quickly dash off and do something quickly that's been called to my attention. Typical Gunnery Officer asks, what is your opinion on the US new battle rifle, the XM5? Do you think the 6.5 rounds suck? Do you think the US suffers from a bad acquisition in the XM5, unlike the UK, who procured the better and working AR-15 platform? Oh boy, I'm going to let her take it away. I don't need to be here for this.
So, a new American battle rifle to replace their current ones. Have you ever wanted the small arms equivalent of Strike Cruiser 1970?
Oh boy.
It's a cool idea. It won't go anywhere.
It is actively funny. Just a neck down 7.62 to 6.5. Yes, you have a lot of kinetic energy. Problem: you carry a lot less ammo. Controllability of rifle is yet again off the fucking
Ammo?
rails.
What's that?
Look, look, the XM5 is stuck with 20 round Stagnags. You're working on a 25, but you're down to 20 rounds. You're not carrying more mags on you. So effectively, everybody has probably somewhere around 35 to 40% less ammunition per soldier. There's only one advantage 6.5 has over 223. it will say fuck level 3 body armor.
Yeah.
That is the only thing the 6.5 is proving to have an advantage in. And also ballistic range, but to be fair, this is now running into the issue of the lessons learned in Afghanistan is not being helpful to prepare the US for a future war.
Yeah.
Because Afghanistan's a very special region.
Yeah,
where
it's a case of arguably this rifle would probably be really good in Ukraine
came 20 years
or
ago.
Afghanistan, but it's not going to be used in Ukraine or Afghanistan. It's going to be used in Indochina and the Indo-Pacific, which is a lot more, as I understand it, close-range combat orientated in exercises.
Basically.
And it's just going to join its predecessor for a main universal rifle replacement. Although that at least had the excuse of the US kind of brought into the Russian 50 cal resistant body armor propaganda. Like, oh, we need a very high penetration infantry rifle.
The furthest I see the XM5 go is probably some special ops unit that may use it for very specialized missions. Because we're talking about the US trying to replace its entire ammunition stock of 223 with 6.5, which is going to take forever. They're also very slowly filtering out the different units with the XM5. So the 223 in the 5.56 still going to be around because the rear line units still going to be stuck with M4s, or hell, even a lot of the mainline units is still going to be stuck with M4s for the moment. And they're probably going to hopefully they're going to end up realizing, you know what, this is probably a stupid idea. We should probably stop moving on with this and figure out a different way to generate more penetrating power out of.
If it wants to be
It's a really fucking big bullet still.
Yeah, it can't decide if it wants to be a squad marksman rifle or a general use rifle. Yes, do you think we can all agree it's going to get the Booker treatment?
Pretty much.
6.5
is it's useful 20 years ago.
It's useful, but we don't need it.
It's useful 20 years ago. And to be fair, if we really need a long-reaching caliber, 7.62 exists.
308 exists.
Yeah, basically. 308 exists. Is 6.5 better than 308? A little bit. But, you know, is it worth the cost? Probably not. So yeah.
And there's always the off if you need it. Because I think the US still has a lot of bizarro marksman rifles still in service.
Yeah, plenty of those. I mean, the 110s are around, or the 110s in use, and just there's plenty of 7.62s. You know, fucking M240s. Miniguns still run 7.62s. There's plenty of weapon platform that still run 7.62s anyway. So if their goal is to replace 7.62 with 6.5, then that's still a lot of platform they have to replace. But that's something a little bit more reasonable, right? If they're going to go with a 6.5 LMG to replace the 240 Bravos,
Or if they want to say semi-automatic rifles to replace the Mark 13 rifle, what we in the
Possibly.
UK would know as the L96.
Possibly, but it's just
And that's sort of clutching at straws.
yeah, pretty much. Because yeah, it's just 6.5 just runs into the issue of it's not different enough from 7.6.2 to really warrant the change, and it's not. It doesn't bring any benefit other than armor piercing capability over 5.56.
Wasn't the main use of 6.5 until this much more about it's a subsonic projectile that comes up repeatedly?
No,
I swear it was. I might get my rounds mixed up.
there used to be. Okay, I think the U.S. looked into a 6.8 intermediate, which is a proper intermediate. 6 is it 6.8 or maybe 6.5 Creedmoor or some. It's somewhere in the 6 mil, 6.5 mil territory, and it's a proper intermediate round. It's small. It's like a proper smaller round than 7.62, so you can actually carry a decent amount. While bigger than 5.56, so it could reach out further and actually punch harder. But then I'm unsure at what point this got turned into a neck down 7.62. And when it got to the neck down 7.62, that's when it became why. So if you guys really want a slightly deeper dive into this, Forgotten Weapons has a video on this, obviously, and he pretty much basically stayed out like why. He has like a 20-minute video of why are we doing this, and it's mostly just the same points that we're making. That's
big
about it.
round equals meteor. That's the way, because the new America is returning to the old days when everything was strong and powerful and manly. To be a manly man in America, you've got to have a big rifle.
Now, Fleet, there are reasons why this is occurring.
I know.
It's just
That was an aggressively overhyped joke.
Yeah, it would be a brilliant rifle for Afghanistan and Iraq. Yes, where they're no longer fighting. Afghanistan.
It's a rifle that came 20 years too late.
Oh, it might be good from sniping from rooftops in Venezuela. We don't know.
We don't know what's happening in Venezuela right now.
Well, there's no boots on the ground in Venezuela.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gone. It's in and out.
Yeah. Although they keep flirting with the idea of going back in, which is fucking confusing.
Well, gee, I wonder why. It's almost like you snatched the guy, and then suddenly you have nobody there to dictate who's gonna, pick power next.
I know.
Hey, do I want to move on?
Yeah. Chandler Chandel asks, random reach question. The Koopa Kingdom, with all its vassals, the Goombas, the Thwomps, the Bobombs, and the Boos, replaced all UNSC forces in Reach. How does the battle go? All equipment seen under the flag of Bowser's forces in all installments of the Super Mario franchise are available. I want to say the Covenant whack his ass aggressively hard. I want to say it, but the shenanigans and the bullshit that is pulled off within the Mario universe does kind of make me stop and go.
Can go to space with no issue. They can make objects ethereal that can travel through other objects.
Yeah, it's yeah.
It's gonna be.
I mean, bear in mind,
And
I'm not
really
very
die, do
yeah.
they?
I'm not very familiar with. I haven't really played. The only Super Mario game I ever finished was on my DS when I was very much littler. I didn't really play Mario apart from that, not really a big part of my childhood or my gaming career, so I'm very much outside my wheelhouse.
Are you guys old enough to hit the Game Boy era, or
Oh god, yeah,
is
I
it
am.
just
I
fully
am.
DS for you?
Oh no, I am.
Okay.
I mean, like, but I had Pokemon and other obscure games on my Game Boy Advanced. I didn't have like for me, like the game of my childhood was Astro Boy on the Game Boy Advance. Like that, I remember. Like that, that was the first game I ever like completed, and then went back and realized there were multiple endings. Like that was weird.
I was mostly just wondering because my first Nintendo was a Game Boy Color.
I did have a Game Boy Color for a limited period, but then the Advanced came out with a flip screen.
Oh,
Yeah, it sounds
God.
about right. Advance is basically your domain.
Yo. My first Nintendo product was the fucking 3DS, the second generation one. The one that you could use as a brick to beat people up with.
You could do
Yeah,
that
I
with the
know,
fucking
because
Game
I
Boy
did.
Advance too.
No, you don't understand. The second generation chunky DS, 3DSs, the one with
Oh,
the
yeah.
XLs.
I do remember those. Yeah, I do remember those for the limited time I had them.
Now,
Okay,
if we're talking about
Dragon,
chunky,
Dragon, we
remember,
need a Halo expert. We need a Halo expert.
no, we need a
remember-
Bowser expert.
We need both
Remember-
experts.
Too.
But
The
remember,
Covenants
the
are
3DS, the
What?
3DS XL,
I thought so.
had
Uh,
sharp corners. And was
Dragon, please explain to me why. I don't understand. I'm confused. Help.
Which one do you want to go off?
I mean,
Now it's a little now. Admittedly, as me and Fox were discussing with us earlier, it's a little unfair giving the Koopa Kingdom all of its weaponry. But considering Black Hole Bowser is canonical in 3 different ways.
what?
Excuse me, what?
What?
Yeah, there's the time that he started devouring everything with a black hole. There's the time he created a black hole. There's the time that he then, well, because he got annoyed at a Mario Party, created another black hole.
Oh.
Beyond that, bullet bills and I've got bullet bills, kamikaze bills. I'd like to see the Covenant deal with Boos, let alone King Boo. Even Big Boo they would have trouble with, considering these are entities that you can... Oh, also, what is it called? Not Koopa Troop, it's the other ones.
How
Dry
many bo-
Bones. Dry
Oh,
Bones.
yeah.
Literally invincible.
Oh yeah, those boys. I forget.
You
those.
cannot kill them unless you have, star power. Covenant ain't got star power.
But what about the glassing beams and the massive super duper carrier?
They get back up.
No. I mean, just like, but like, yeah, sure, but like, you just have to keep
Bowser
smacking
has
them.
multiple space fleets.
They're wood and have cannons. Like, this is me playing devil's advocate at this point.
Right,
Like,
right,
I know
please,
you are.
hear me out. A boo or a large boo, or whatever the fuck it's called, putting on Johnny Silverhand's theme with a bomb versus a Covenant super carrier. Who wins?
I don't think I don't think I want to be anywhere near the resulting explosion. I'm just
Fire
putting.
goo.
Remember,
Star power.
remember, depending on what Bowser has his hands on, he can also create planets, throw planets, create an entire galaxy has occurred a couple of times. Like, then there's the time where Bowser is literally able... Remember, Bowser can freely move in space as well, and he can become utterly titanic, where he could probably just start picking up smaller vessels and throwing them.
Yeah,
It's going to depend on how does cartoon physics mix with
yeah.
relatively proper physics.
It's very simple. Bowser kicked out Prophet. Covenant goes find Prophet in castle. Sadly, Prophet is in a different castle.
I mean, the funniest thing is, what if the elites join Bowser because he's a greater warrior?
Also, believe it or not, Bowser is not stupid. He's actually quite smart.
The only thing that can defeat Bowser is something with a bigger bullshittery power, and that's Mario.
There was also that time where they had to fight that the demon from Final Fantasy, I believe it was.
Oh yeah.
And that he literally had his own pocket realm and like, well, I'm just gonna smash my way through this. Not even plot armor, Cevix.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Brandon Larson, what
Next
does the
question.
what does the panel think about the upcoming Ace Combat game, Ace Combat 8 Wings of Thief, and the Essex class carrier the protagonist will be operating from in FA-18 Super Hornets? It's like any Ace Combat game. You can operate any aircraft from any carrier, because that's what's required to make the game work. Yes, I will take off this 4-engined massive stealth bomber thing from this carrier. No, you can't stop me.
What?
do you mean you
When
can't
have you been
take
able to use a
that?
4-engine plane in Ace Combat?
Oh, Ace Combat Skies of Deception. There's a 4-engine stealth bombery thing you can fly. It's cool.
So the rubbish ones, got it.
You did not just diss Skies of Deception. It might be
I
on the
don't need-
PSP,
No
He
comments.
does it.
No comments.
but Skies of Deception is fucking ace. Like, I love it. Also, it gave us the best super weapon, the Gleipnir Airborne Fortress.
Bro, hey, you
0,
want some
0,
popcorn?
0, 4, 5, and 6 would like a word with you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Hey,
They,
hold up,
Would like to bomb
To
you
some
out
I don't
of
have
existence.
some already.
yeah, it's like, I'm sorry.
The
Do they?
Stonehenge is based.
It's like, I'm sorry that those airborne fortresses do not have VLS, or a cloaking device, or a fuel air cannon. Like, just
Irrelevant in the might. Irrelevant in the might of anti-asteroid railguns.
Yeah.
yeah, there is that. There is that. Stonehenge does kind of make all airborne fortresses obsolete. It does make me wonder why people keep building airborne fortresses when Stonehenge exists. And then now that it exists, people
Because
can build
Stonehenge
more.
was destroyed.
No.
Yeah, Stonehenge is destroyed.
No, I get that. But what I was about to say was, it's proved the concept. It's doable, and you don't even need half to a quarter of the capabilities of Stonehenge to create a weapon system that just goes, I care not for your airborne fortresses. Fuck off.
Yeah, but Stonehenge was super fucking expensive.
No, it was. But,
Bankrupting a continent level expensive.
oh no, I'm aware.
Even if you built one gun, that's still bankrupting most nations.
Oh no! I wasn't referring to a quarter of the facility. I was like, you could build a weapon system styled after Stonehenge, without the ability to reach out and touch things in space, and without the ability to fire across an entire continent, and it would still render
find-
airborne fortresses fucking useless.
Yeah, but
I
it's
find
that
it
ability
funny.
to fire across the continent what makes Stonehenge scary.
Oh yeah, no, I agree completely.
The fact that it doesn't have to hit the arsenal bird when it fires. The wake of its projectile will snap it in two.
Yeah, but it does hit the
To
arsenal
be
bird.
fair, the Arsenal bird. To be fair, the Arsenal bird is that very. It's not exactly that strong of a construction.
Yeah, the arsenal bird is my least favorite super weapon. Like,
No, it's not a super weapon.
It's not. The brilliant thing about it is that it's not a super weapon. They build two of them.
well, yeah.
It's a
But,
strategic.
It's still a super weapon by Ace Combat definitions. Because, like,
Nope.
don't forget, there was an entire aerial fleet of
Yeah.
super weapons built by what they're called, Estavakia, whatever the fuck they're called.
No.
No.
Estavakia built the Synfaxi. The only time
Oh, no,
Estavakia has built an air fleet, and I'll admit they built a very cool one, was in Ace Combat Infinity.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, not.
Because
trying
you've
to
got
say
the
you-
P 1112 Iagon.
Oh yeah, the Argon
Are you
Pack
trying
was
to say the
built by a
Yucatan or
different.
something like that?
No. No. Don't you mean Yuktobania Dragon? Because they're the ones with the
Yes, sorry.
with the Synfaxi.
Estavakia has the other one. Sorry.
Yeah, Estavakia had the air fleet. They had the
Yuktobania.
Agaion and the Agaion, and it's like it's little like flock of escorty boys. Fuck, I can't speak. Escorty boys. Fuck. What am
I'm
I doing?
genuinely more interested in the fact that no one tried to build another Excalibur.
They did.
That's- Like, but like, anyway, but yeah, But yeah,
Overall,
it's
personally, I don't like the look of it. The new upcoming one.
Yeah, I haven't played an Ace Combat game since 0.
You should
You
play
should give
Seven.
Well, yeah.
7 a go. 7 was literally on sale for like £1.50.
I don't have.
Or you
If
could
you're
be
saying you cannot
crackhead
afford,
cousin.
and if you could not say afford, if you were about to say you could not afford £1.50,
No, I was gonna say I don't have any kit. Like I wouldn't want to play it with mouse and
why
keyboard.
do you need kit? Ace
That's-
Combat is literally a game where they have came out saying you are not meant to play this with kit. Get over yourselves.
No. I mean, as in, I don't have a I would want like a controller or something. 'Cause, like, playing Ace Combat on mouse and keyboard just feels wrong.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I disagree with that because of the amount of freedom it's gave me to do stuff. But the only thing that looks interesting about it so far is the fact that they might be returning something from Ace Combat 5, which is being able to talk to your wingmen,
Woo.
which has been missing. Beyond that,
Yes, wingman
you are now the
control,
ace
that's
of
about it.
aces, the best pilot who ever existed.
The whole point is that you go.
The Calm team over there, Trigger over there,
Yeah, like the whole.
Mobius over there.
Yeah.
No, you're not the ace of aces because
The whole point of the.
Demon Lord of the Round Table is known to be the best ace in Ace Combat, effectively.
Yeah, and
Mobius
also,
1 was the best of his time, but they are not the ace of aces.
the whole point of Ace Combat is that you rise to become the ace of the combat you're in. That's the point.
Not the ace of all time,
Exactly.
which is what it was going on about.
It just
I
looks like
know.
propaganda.
It's
Like,
just.
Yeah, we'll see.
Propaganda.
Yeah. Channel Lord Chandel asks, what would a Spanish centurion look like? Like a
A
centurion.
Centurion.
Like the one of the things about
The Centurion Mafia returns from
one
last
of the
episode.
oh fuck's sake. One of the things about the Centurion is wherever it goes, no matter what upgrades are done to it, it still ends up looking like a Centurion, unless you're an Oliphant, in which case you look a bit weird.
Yes.
But then
Or
I
a-
still look like a
Chaldean.
Centurion
but no,
with a
no.
gladius and a scutum.
No, but even-
102 and 104.
No, but even then, peel away the applique armor, and they're still a Centurion. They still look like a Centurion.
Perhaps.
Yes,
Well,
with
all
a
I'm gonna
scutum
say is-
and a gladius.
You just
All I'm gonna say is, it's gonna be a centurion in a poncho that runs off bean oil.
are we?
Wait, no, that's Mexico.
Stop.
Never mind.
Stop before I get cancelled.
Right? No, if it's a centurion, it would the Spanish centurion. It would turn off randomly at midday. And
Oh,
you wouldn't be able
come
to get it started.
on.
Hours.
The reason for siestas
More
are very
importantly, it'll
common
make up
sense.
with all your fish.
Yes.
Oh, for God's sake. You guys are going to get me cancelled. Stop, please. YouTube Minecraft Watcher asks, what is the panel's thoughts on the Johnstown flood of 1889 and the lack of maintenance on the dam? I have never heard of the Johnstown flood of 1889.
Oh boy.
Have you heard of Johnstown? It flooded.
Let's see. Johnstown flood.
What's funny is I've actually.
Well, it's
driven through
Johnstown, so it's. I thought it was right. It's American.
Yeah, it's an American.
It is American.
town
It
that
is. I
flooded.
want to say in Pennsylvania somewhere. Or Virginia.
You're correct. It is Pennsylvania.
Okay, so
Hey,
a dam...
got it in one.
Okay, so a dam breached. Then there was a locomotive, and apparently it went back, and he held his whistle down as he went back. And things happened. Town flooded. Fire started. People died. Apparently, dam was not so well maintained. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Any opinions I have are just gonna be me reading off the Wikipedia article, if I'm honest.
Hang on, let me phone a friend.
I don't really
for it.
have an opinion because it's a local disaster that doesn't really affect me or that I've ever heard of. So I don't really have anything to say on it. The dam not being maintained, it wouldn't surprise me for local infrastructure during the 1880s in the US, given that there was very little in the way of federal regulation at that point, and it was up to individual states, and they were notoriously lax. So... I mean, I don't have anything more to say than that. And in regards to the follow-up question about what type of locomotive, would be a generic two-seat. It would be a Alco product, or well, it would be a product of one of the major builders, and it would have been a 260, a 460.
No, it would have been a Baldwin.
For the PRR, you think?
Most likely.
Well, it could have been from their own Altoona shops.
Because New York Central was the one who really liked the Alcos, and then
Yeah, but either way,
PRR liked the Baldwins, if I recall.
if it's the 1880s, it's going to be a 440, a 260, a 460, or a 280.
Probably
Those-
a 440. The PRR really had a ton of 440s.
Yeah, probably.
But beyond that, no idea. Oh, my phone a friend is phoning a friend.
Next.
Yeah, we're pretty much. There's not really much to say.
I will let you know if the phone a friend phoning a friend gets back in a timely manner.
Yes, and that's it. That was it. Nice, we
Oh,
got
damn,
done.
That's the last question.
Nice, we got done. Bang on 3 hours. Damn, that's impressive. That doesn't usually happen. Yippee! Oh god, Ace Combat X Skies of Deception is 20 years old. Fuck, that makes me feel old.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh boy.
Fuck me, Jesus.
On the other hand, can an S6 throw a Super Hornet?
No, it categorically cannot.
Probably
I mean,
can't land it.
how invasively modded are we willing to make this essence?
It doesn't matter.
Well-
You still can't really lob a F-18. It doesn't have the. It can't. It physically can't hold the cats you would require to do it.
Well, so the
Well, what I'm thinking
team
is it
went
could
and
throw it. It would just
visited.
never be able to recover it.
I don't remember which S6 they visited. Was it Yorktown? Or was it Lexington? But yeah, they went and visited an actual Essex and just did laser scans of like all the different areas, and basically we're probably looking at the SCV-127 or not 125, sorry, 120, probably a 125A maybe, I don't know. I don't know exactly which S6 they scanned, so I was mostly just wondering. They could probably operate Legacy Hornets, but Super Hornets?
Yeah. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you all had a fantastic time. So, as per the ping, we'll probably be doing something after this. Given that people are waiting for it, and it seems like we do have a lot of people for it, we might actually be doing Forged Alliance Forever. Given the amount of people that are waiting for it, we may not even be doing the campaign. We might actually be doing multiplayer. Given we have more than 4 people, probably. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Tune in on Sunday for the live stream, when I will be doing things. Obviously, if you are a Dr. Clark enjoyer, don't forget to tune in for Brew Ships on Sunday, hopefully. But otherwise, for myself and the panel, thank you, Foxer, thank you, Moe, thank you.